This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit and talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
You got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
Hi, this is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans, that's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of One Nation Radio. My name's James Boyd, and here with me I have Rich Latta. What's going on, man?
Chilling, man. Just been playing this 2K and making these remixes of these songs. You know, doing stuff to pass the time. So I actually just put it on my YouTube channel. Is Drew Hill Tell Me, and I made it like a modern kind of beat, and it's hard. You know, and I woke this man. I don't know if James is asleep, because James don't sleep, but I sent that shit to him at like 1:30 last night, and this man said I was harassing him.
Yes, you were harassing me. You harassed my inbox. Like, I don't look. The beat you made for it works together. It works great. But the part for me, as you being a producer that does the sorts of things, I figured like once you got through the hook, like, okay, you're basically just making a beat and you took the hook and that's just the sample and whatever, and as a placement to shop to people. But then all of a sudden I hear like Jazz continue to sing his verse. I was like, oh, this man just did a whole cover beat. He's trolling me. Like that's how I felt about it. Like, he's not using this to shop, or maybe he is, but he decided to send me the version that's the troll version. So I was like, okay, here we go with this. And then it made me think about, our Baltimore brothers and sisters in their particular accent, and I made me think about the fact that like Drew Hill is from Baltimore, but like that hook is tell me what you want, but it's not tell me what you want, like how our the accents of our brothers and sisters in Baltimore are. So I was like, hold on, bro, how come they don't talk like their kinfolk? What's going on? So it made me ask more questions from there.
I guess it's a similar thing as, folks in the UK, how they lose their accent when they start singing.
I guess so. Okay, so yeah. We've gone way too far without introducing our guest that we have on the show. I bet he's like, hey, he's not gonna, they didn't forget I was here. Sorry about this, but first time ever, I think, on the show.
It is indeed, yes.
Sir
a long time coming.
Sam Brown of Wrestling Headlines.
That's it. Yeah, you can call me Sam, though. And I understood about 3 words of what you just said in like that whole last
I'll send you a couple things, you'll understand exactly what I'm saying. Like, if you ever watched The Wire, you might understand what I mean. But yeah. So we have Sam with us today because we are going to...
Yeah, man. I've been wanting to get Sam on for a really long time.
Yeah, man. When we first connected so Rich and I started writing for, it was Lords of Pain at the time. We were kind of coming up at around the same time, and I remember you saying, hey, when can we get you on my podcast? But the times have finally aligned before the coming apocalypse. Yeah. It's going to be the last ever, right? It's going to be the last ever One Nation Radio, and you've had me on.
I mean, we'll see come this week, next weekend, if it will be. They, like I said last week, we might not have internet. They might shut this whole thing down if it goes a certain way. So we'll see. But yeah, it's a 15-hour time difference, right?
Something like that. Yeah. I mean, it's the other side of the world. In case you haven't heard.
This man's literally in the future, James.
Yeah, I am. It's Sunday here, 1st of November.
Yeah, so we have Sam here.
Hey, man, make sure you let us know how this work out ahead of time.
Oh, God. So we have Sam here to help us talk about and preview a little ahead of time, but seeing that's going to be next weekend, I think it's perfect time to preview Full Gear because this card's loaded. As far as, on paper, it is loaded. As far as some of the bills, I feel like every match is pretty much there except for one, and I'm sure we'll discuss that with Sam. But at first, let's just talk about some of the... We'll get to that, so let's just talk about what we normally talk about, which is bashing on the main roster before we talk about the Wednesday shows. Yeah. Matthew Riddle, in the words of Kyle O'Reilly, is now dumping his first name and is going as just Riddle, like Cesaro or Neville or Big E, no Langston, or I don't know how many people. Like, how long before we call Lars Sullivan just Lars? Or has that already happened? Goldberg? Oh, God. Sting!
And
I think he'll eventually be Lars.
Yeah, I can see that.
An old mate came out on
Otis,
Twitter and
Tucker.
was saying, I like being called just Riddle. It's my last name. It's what everyone calls me. No one calls me Matt. Everyone just calls me Riddle.
I mean, I imagine that's true. That has to, that's wrestling. That's, that's sports. That's the military. But this guy, like, how do you stuff up like the best opportunity they've had for so long to create a superstar? This guy looks like a god. Mm-hmm. He wrestles so well. Mm-hmm. He's charismatic. Mm-hmm. People connect with him. He's got a legitimate background. Yep. Like, you don't see people in the UFC. No one's going, Jones. Everyone's John Bones Jones. Everyone knows that guy. No one goes McGregor. It's Conor McGregor. Everyone knows Conor McGregor. Well, it's Khabib.
This guy, he sounds
Khabib.
like... That's true.
Okay, that's because that man got a last name like Giannis. There's a reason. There's a reason that man goes by just Khabib.
When you can wrestle a bear, you can kind of get called what you want.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's also true. Like, I mean, now look, I don't know how to spell Nurmagomedov. I don't know how to spell that at all. So I get it. But and you're right about the Giannis Antetokounmpo thing about like just we call him Giannis and we can move on. I think, you're right about all those points about, like, how can you get a guy that's just, like, hand-delivered that is such a slam dunk. The problem is, he's not a slam dunk no more. Like, he probably shouldn't be on TV, but the fact that, like, they're moving on as if he is, like, they still care about him and they still want to use him is like, well, then why would you make him a one-name person? Like, that just kind of lends you towards being, less three-dimensional as a and a person to act in WWE. I wish he was in AEW. Well, actually, I wish he was off TV, period. But you get my point. Like, it's really strange. And the Observer story, I don't know, man. That sounds, I think that dumb.
I mean, WWE is like people have theorized these things about them before with like in regards to SEO traffic and stuff like that. But for me, for me, I would be like, well, I say that was the reason, right? Mm-hmm. That would tell me that WWE has a gross misunderstanding of how SEO works because everything's still going to pop up anyway.
Rich, let me stop you right there because we haven't explained to the listeners what actually is going on. So, according to or speculation in the Observer from Dave Meltzer is that word from the back is that they have changed his name from Matt Riddle to just Riddle in a way for if you were to Google his name or enter his name into a search engine, you will pop up Riddle and not see any of the Candy Cartwright allegations of him raping her. So now that we have the full context for the listeners, now we can go from there.
When you get that full context, how bloody gross is that? Like, right. Oh, Jesus.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not without precedent. The word was that's why they did the greatest, what was it, the greatest match ever or something like that they did
greatest match
earlier
ever.
this year. Yeah, so that when you Google that, that's what comes up instead of, Kenny Omega, Kazuchika Okada tearing it up in the,
Yeah. Okay, so go ahead with your point, Rich. I'm sorry.
So
I was saying like if that's the case, right? Like say that's 100% fact. Mm-hmm. That would tell me they have a gross misunderstanding of how SEO works, right?
And also like how the internet in general works. Right. Like unless you're going to change that man's name and cut his hair and call him Spartacus, it's still going to get seen, man. Like the toothpaste is out that tube already.
Yeah. Yes. And
make him wear an earring,
ideas, man.
Yeah. Don't give him ideas. And then another thing, is that line is something you've heard before. Like when they've had Triple H in the past do the Austin podcast on the network, and they asked about China in the Hall of Fame, and that was more or less almost verbatim what Triple H said about China in the Hall of Fame. This is a kid show.
Right.
It's not. But he said it's a kid's show. Kids don't watch the shit, but whatever. It's a kid's show. What if kids go on the internet and Google something and they see it and it's like, well, they will see the same thing if they were to Google Hogan, I imagine. But but that's not an issue for Hogan, is it? So, but yeah, like that's what made me think like, this is something that is legitimate of, it is possible because
this is an institutional thing,
right? Because you hear their verbiage just trickle down from all branches whenever they do interviews to the public or say things to each other. So it's like, or not to each other, but to the public in an interview setting. So it's like they're clearly, I don't want to say that these boys are institutionalized, but like there's clearly an education taking place.
There's a manual.
There is an education taking place when you're in the Stanford House or Stronghold. So, yeah, man, it's just really weird. Sam, like, what are your thoughts on this now? Because it's just like, do you really think they're this dumb? Like, at one point, I see something they put on TV, but then it's like, they're also marketing geniuses.
The first thing it made me think of was Jim Carrey playing the Riddler in Batman from like the 90s. So I'm thinking of Matt Riddle coming out
Riddler.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he's
coming out in all green with question marks, and he starts cutting Riddle.
The man gonna be looking like Rey Mysterio.
If he were on Halloween Havoc, he would have came out with lime green shorts on with black question marks on, like the Riddler's old outfit in the comic book. That would have happened. I guarantee if he was still around for Halloween Havoc, I guarantee you he would have done something like that. But oh my god!
But that could be kind of cool on a Halloween show. That could be kind of cool.
Yeah.
If you know he's treated as a serious wrestler, but clearly, I don't watch religiously. I don't watch WWE. But everything I've seen, he's not being treated that way on the main roster. So it just feels stupid. And as I said, stars, have full names. People have full names.
Yeah. I mean, there are some exceptions, but for the most part, yes. Like the average star has a full name, especially in this company. Like, that's not a normal thing to just be Riddle, But yeah,
and you refer to someone by their last name, but you don't just call them that. Like they have, it's Steve Austin. Everyone calls him it's Austin, but he's still Steve Austin. He's still a person.
Right. He's still a person.
People. He's not just a product. He's not just a brand.
Right. Okay. I guess.
Here comes Ramon.
Yeah.
So it's that time of the year again. We saw on SmackDown last night that Jey Uso is in full slave mode, and he is taking out. He is doing everything that Roman Reigns tells him to do, like a good little boy. And I guess against his better judgment, he has decided to take out Daniel Bryan, who fresh from returning from paternity leave. And this seems given the history between Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan in kayfabe, as far as the dirt sheets, if you will, over the years, ever since 2015, they've been linked. They are a match that seems like a WrestleMania match. They, quite honestly, if you were to ask me what should be the WrestleMania match going into main event for next year, it should be those two together. But we're in, much like the Sasha and Bayley thing at Hell in a Cell, they decided to do this now, and you look at how they tend to book, and it seems like they will miss out, and Daniel Bryan will get a match that will move him away from the Royal Rumble, which would then lead to probably Edge winning the Rumble this next year. But let's not go that far. But it seems like they have again, in a way that Rich has pretty much detailed. I don't know if it's with pain or with glee. I think at this point, I can't. It might be both. How they keep moving Daniel Bryan out of the way by the Royal Rumble, so that he is not in Royal Rumble, and then he is away from whatever big thing they really want to do come WrestleMania time. So, Rich, the floor is yours.
I mean, the evidence is there. Year after year, Daniel Bryan repeatedly gets shadow banned from the Royal Rumble. In a way, they've learned their lesson from 2015. They said, well, we threw him out early in there. And then what did they do? Like, there were a lot of rumors in 2016 that he was going to come back and everything like that. Every doctor under the sun had cleared him by that point, except WWE. So they make him go out there in February and retire.
Right.
So he's out of whack. He missed 2016, 2017, 2018. Of course, by 2018, like, the Rumbles are even louder. They're like, hey, man, this man's contract's coming up. Mm-hmm. Some might go on. And Daniel Bryan magically is cleared. I wonder why.
What was it, like 5 weeks out from WrestleMania 2018?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
It was like 3 weeks out from WrestleMania.
Okay, even closer. Okay.
Yep. So he goes through, and of course they murder him as a babyface, like
within months.
A layup blown, like a blown layup, the size, like I couldn't imagine, I couldn't imagine missing that, but they did. Right. So Daniel Bryan, to save his own career, knowing how this company works, he's like, I'll be a heel. So instead of getting the big inspirational thing with, the fans feeling good and everything, this company's like, yeah, we'll take some heat. So they make him kick AJ in the dick, put the belt on him, and I'm just like, I snap off and lose my mind. Like, I'm like, I can't believe this. Like, they've just turned him. I was like, they're going to make him a chicken shit champion. Of course, Daniel Bryan, every step of the way, I said he's going to murder it because he's Daniel Bryan and he's a genius. But we already know there's another level to this. Right. So why don't you want that other level?
Right.
Like, so he has the title all through the Royal Rumble. Of course, he's the champion at the Royal Rumble, and they give him like a lame duck AJ Styles match after AJ Styles had already lost his rematch before that. Yep. So, and then they make them wrestle like this very, very slow match that leads to Eric Rowan coming out. No one's feeling good about anything. And that whole time, Daniel Bryan has no WrestleMania opponent planned at that time, even though he's the champion, right? And he's doing his Planet Champion stuff. Then all of a sudden, Kofi Kingston catches fire, and that's like the best thing to happen because that actually gives
real quick.
Him something.
In theory, the word was it was supposed to be Mustafa Ali for a certain amount of time, which was then to set up for him versus Kevin Owens. And then they put Kofi into the gauntlet, and they basically made him the Seth Rollins of that year's gauntlet, and he got over. And so then they had to change course, and then they pushed off Kevin Owens to the side or whatever for the better story, quite frankly. So go ahead. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
And they were going to, had they even gone that Owens direction, it would have been getting started too late. It would have just been pulled out of thin air for one, and it probably would have gone it probably would have just been another match on the card at WrestleMania. And luckily, Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan, something happened and that felt special for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
First, African born WWE champion. Never mind.
Can you say that again? You broke up for a little
At
bit.
the time, I was writing plenty of columns on Lords of Pain, detailing this.
Hey, Rich, can you start that over
I
again?
said at the time, I was writing plenty of columns on Lords of Pain, detailing all of this.
And as one of the moderators in the comments
so
section, I always appreciated that, Rich. You always brought out the best in people.
So
this was the same time Hulk Hogan was coming back.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, I was not happy at the time. I was not happy. But the thing with Daniel Bryan, from there, he loses and he kind of just fades around and drifts, and then all of a sudden he's a babyface without really a turn, by just getting beat up by Eric Rowan, and then all of a sudden he's teaming up with Roman Reigns, and I'm like, well, both they book Bryan and Reigns horribly together for the rest of 2019. They don't do shit with either of them, and then by the time the WrestleMania comes, or the at the end of the year, they cut Daniel Bryan's hair off, which is like they're dramatically changing your look when you're a babyface. It's an adjustment, in how people receive you, I believe, and they're like, oh, we have this terrible champion named Bray Wyatt who doesn't have any type of good matches at all. I know what we'll do. We'll put Daniel Bryan in there with him. At what time of year? The end of the year. And then the Royal Rumble, to keep him out of the Royal Rumble because we don't want him near anything important at all, because we ended up with Goldberg and Strowman, but never mind that. By that time, Daniel Bryan was having a nice little 8-minute match with Sami Zayn for the IC title, right where they want him. Not the top of the card, not, getting fans excited, because they hate this man. They always have, and they always will. And they're set to do it again. And not only with the guy that has been linked with him for all these years, the guys that have been diametrically opposed to each other, even through retirement, quote unquote, while Reigns has struggled, and Reigns finally has the correct alignment, and it's like always what I said what would take for Roman Reigns to get accepted. It was like, I always used to say Daniel Bryan would have to come out of retirement, Roman Reigns had to be a heel, and Daniel Bryan would either have to win at WrestleMania, or they need to have the best match, one of the best matches we've ever seen in the main event of WrestleMania for the title, and you live with it from there. Those are the options. So what did they do? They're about to blow this shit off, put Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns together at the Royal Rumble next year. This is my prediction. Get Bryan the fuck out of here, and then pull out Goldberg or something, and then Daniel Bryan will be wrestling I don't even know who's a heel, a mid-card. He'll be wrestling fucking Corbin at next year's WrestleMania or something.
Oh my God.
Shadow ban from the Rumble. Write it down. If you look at the calendar, they got Survivor Series, so there's no pressure for them to do a match next month, right? Because all the matches are set up. Right. TLC, they normally do goofy gimmick matches. They could do Daniel Bryan and Jey Uso, you mentioned.
Exactly. That's the thing that's there for them right there, because they've set, the tribal chief has set one of his deputy sheriffs to come handle Daniel Bryan before this shit gets out of hand. So you see, that was probably, unless that's television, I imagine that's going to be something that they do at TLC, and then from there that gives them about 6 weeks or 5 weeks to get to Royal Rumble. Traditionally going off of where TLC is a week before or 2 weeks before Christmas, and then the very end of January, between that week off between the conference championship games and football and the Super Bowl is where they put Royal Rumble historically. So that gives them 6 weeks to get to a Roman Reigns match, have a nice little build, and then they can, they have Daniel Bryan get whooped, and then they can move on with their day, in theory. So
exactly.
That's why I set the floor for you to go ahead and do your.
So that way you get no Royal Rumble. They get no Royal Rumble, they get no hijacking, they get none of this stuff. They get Daniel Bryan getting beat before the Royal Rumble happens, and then, or they have the Royal Rumble first, and then they beat Daniel Bryan. So that's actually my prediction. They have the Royal Rumble first, then Roman Reigns beats Daniel Bryan.
Sam, now my question for you, I have more or less is one question. Do you see the case that he's laid out, or do you now understand what I deal with on a weekly basis?
Yeah, look, I work in a bank. I'm a business banker. If one of my clients came in, presented that kind of a business case and was like, I need to cut a check for whether this is going to happen or not for Royal Rumble, I'd probably be cashing that today.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Like, man, and the problem with this, I mean, part of the problem with this, right, is that there are people who will wave this like constant sidelining of Daniel Bryan away because Daniel Bryan's just so good that he makes it work. Like the booking, Daniel Bryan has succeeded since he returned, completely in spite of how WWE's booked him. He should, as Rich said, he should have had the most triumphant, heartwarming return ever. Instead, he gets like a mid-card match and then a flop. Like, what happened to his face when he returned? Big Cass! Like, he did not return to fight Big Cass, and there's so many amazing wrestlers on the WWE roster. How have we not had Daniel Bryan versus Seth Rollins yet? Like, that hasn't happened yet. And I don't know why. They had absolute bangers in the past, in the lead up to in 2014.
Yes.
Sorry, in 2013.
Oh, that'll be his WrestleMania opponent. Sorry.
Yep.
I mean,
that's exactly right.
And that's the problem, right?
That'll be his WrestleMania opponent.
Those guys will save it in the ring because they're so damn good. You know, like he turned heel on AJ when he should have been having an amazingly triumphant run. But he makes it work because he's just so damn good. He's the wrestler of the decade. He's probably the best all-round wrestler in the world. So he just constantly makes it work in spite of the fact that, as you said, the WWE could not care about him. He is someone that is an inconvenience because he works so well. And the only reason they keep him around is because they know that if they let him go, he'll go to New Japan, he'll go to AEW, and he'll become the most popular wrestler in the world in those organizations instead of in their own.
Compelling case.
Why do I feel like I've had like the last 5 years of like One Nation Radio shows just like all thrown in together for like just this segment? It feels like I'm just a rerun of the last 5 years of One Nation Radio. Damn it. Yeah, I don't disagree. It is just, for me, it's like, it's been beaten out of me. I'm almost at a point where like...
True. That's I'm removed from it. So like, there is no anger here. There is just simple analysis and jokes, quite frankly, that they keep proving me right. I dare them to prove me wrong at this point.
The only sadness for me is that we haven't had that he's still in the WWE, and like, I mean, fair play to him. He's cashing that check, but man, how amazing would it be to have him in the G1? Like, have him in a G1, having matches with like Ishii and Shingo Takagi. I mean, you could write a list,
right,
of the people.
There is a Shingo Daniel Bryan match from 2010 that's out there. It happened in Dragon Gate. If you guys want to find it.
Yeah, and there's also
I know it's out there if you can find it.
Yeah, and there's also the under 30 thing with Tanahashi and Daniel Bryan. Like, yeah, that's cool, but like,
did they have a match?
That was ages ago.
I was about to bring up Tanahashi and Daniel Bryan,
right? Because
me and some other guys from Wrestling Headlines did like this kind of draft thing for our to celebrate the last decade of wrestling. We all did a draft roster, and somehow I ended up with Daniel Bryan and Hiroshi Tanahashi both in my organization when I was making picks. And I was like, I was thinking the only other person I would have probably picked would have been The Rock, maybe, if he'd been available. But somehow I ended up with those two, and man, thinking about the dream match they could have. Oh man, yeah, that's the only sad thing about the Daniel Bryan situation for me now. As I said, I don't really watch the WWE anymore. I've watched wrestling in other places. I just miss him and wish he was.
Miss him. He's not
having
dead.
I miss him.
The man's alive. I miss him.
This man is healthy.
I miss watching wrestling.
God damn.
That's great.
Oh my God.
I miss Daniel Bryan.
That's perfect.
Okay. right. So, oh man,
I guess we should get into the preview now.
Is it worth the wait having me on?
Yes, it was. So,
yes.
Do we? So was it? I can't remember the date that he showed up in WWE Nexus or whatever else. So, but I know it's 2010, and like I imagine like Sunrise, whatever the date that is, 2010 right now in my head, and then like whatever I guess what October Halloween 2020 Sunset because he had been pronounced dead by Sir Sam. Okay, all right, so. I guess from there we transition from the death of Daniel Bryan to a review for Full Gear. Yeah, man. I like so much about this build, especially from the potential of the card. And I like all but one of these programs. I don't know where you even want to start, Rich, or Sam. Where do you want to start at? Do we just go? I guess we can start with
Sam. If you want to go first on each of these, just an overview of like what you're thinking of how the card is and how they've got here, and how excited are you for the event?
Do you have the card?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, look, I'm super excited for this event. I think it's shaping up to be a better card than All Out, I feel like. Maybe not. I mean, Double or Nothing was such a weird time because everyone was in lockdown and it was such a weird time TV-wise, and they, pulled it out of the bag there. But this one is just up and down, so well built. As you said, there's, one or two matches that maybe haven't paid off as well as they could have in the build. But in the ring, I've got no doubt this is going to be, just such a fantastic one. If you want to start at the championship level with my man Jon Moxley.
Yes, let's start there. A guy who's wearing a Dean Ambrose shirt right now.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, look, I mean, this has been. I've always worn my fandom for this fella on my sleeve.
Oh, we know.
And out in the open, I remember back in 2018 having a number of back and forths with you guys.
We're going to bring that up. Whoa, that's getting brought up right the fuck now.
Okay. I'm happy to. We'll talk about this and we'll get into it. But look, this year's been just a banner year for Jon Moxley. And his run as champion is just. I cannot remember a better run as a face champion that's been, for so long, certainly since I've been paying attention to wrestling. And the strength of it is emphasized in this match. They've already had this match. They had this match about a month ago.
Yep. But
they've managed to build it in such a way that it still feels incredibly compelling that he is going up against Eddie Kingston. In an I Quit match. And isn't it interesting that they're having an I Quit match, like 2 weeks after the WWE had an I Quit match at Hell in a Cell. And I have got no doubt in my mind that these guys are going to, show them how it's done.
Right. And no, that's no knock against the Jey Uso and Roman match. I thought that was a good match. It's just a little bit too over the top with acting instead of action for me. But I would never say that, man. I would never go back and watch it, but I wouldn't say it was bad. So, as far as...
No, neither would I. And for the record, neither would I. But right. I mean, you look at the two guys in this and the story that they've built already.
Yeah.
Like just the fact in the promo, Moxley was like, I've been doing the rest for business, but this time it's getting personal. And Eddie Kingston takes everything personally, like every single thing that happens to him is a personal slight against him. And these guys are both electric on the microphone and aren't afraid to, mix up with brutality in the ring. This has got all the makings of just an incredible I Quit match.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, man. With Moxley and Kingston, it's like... I feel like you're looking at two sides of the coin of the same guy. It's like you're looking at the good version of a guy and then like the bad version of the same guy in Kingston. Kingston has just, I think, come on the scene in a way that I would feel like longtime fans of his are like beating their chest like, this is what we've been saying all this time. This guy's never got like, the proper elevation, the proper shine. And it seems like AEW... Yes, I feel like AEW stumbled into like another like quasi a guy that can work the main event. Because he's always going to be able to talk to somebody and get people, like we see it on BTE when they're like, hey, Eddie, cut a promo on this bag of like Sour Patch Kids. And then like he does, and it's amazing. And it's like, wow. It's fucking like, it's crazy. Like, they'd be like, I hand him a cookie and be like, hey, Eddie, cut a promo on this cookie. And then, it's like, my wife's come crumbling down and like, a pumpkin. Yeah, that one was too. And that's going to be very valuable as, you're going to be developing, I think, a lot of baby faces, and Eddie Kingston is the perfect guy for every one of them to fight. And he's a faction leader. Like, this guy's like taking a rapid elevation. That's not taking anything away from Mox, who's just been a battalion of consistency throughout this year. I think, he's going to win Observer Wrestler of the Year. And he's going to
Radio Wrestler Year too, probably.
I think he's going to with this match, he's going to really get to show. He had his crazy match with Kenny last year, but he's going to get back to some of the crazy shit here. So, and he's going to be right in his wheelhouse with what he likes to do. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so you made this point about how like there are two sides to the same coin, and it makes me think of the last year's Santana and Ortiz versus Young Bucks match when they did their their version of 24/7, the Road to stuff, when they said like y'all your dad went out there and made your ring so you can go out there and be backyarders. Like, y'all aren't self-made. Like, y'all had it's us, it's me and my brother, and we got on them trains and trained to do this shit, to make the dream happen. Like, we had help, we ain't had no help, and then talked about how, like, what is it to be, makes me think of like the Becky Lynch or Ronda promos. Like, it's one thing to be made tough, or be born tough. It's another one to be made tough. But anyway, the real thing for me is, like, you think of the opposite sides of the coin that you mentioned when it came to that, and it's like, but they also, with this, the way they're setting it up is like they also knew each other, and then you look at like Moxley, the land of entertainers, as he said, Kingston said, is like, you got the shot, you got the call to the show, I didn't. I had to toil away. I could have been you. I don't think he said that yet, but like a lot of that is pointing towards I could have been like that too. You. So
right, I feel like that too. Like he like this could easily, like, based on the Eddie Kingston character we know. You don't think Eddie Kingston would have loved that life, making that money? Like this is
right. He's a scammer. This whole thing, he's just a little scammer. Like, there's a lot of him in there. There's a lot of consmanship there. Absolutely. So, and a lot of sleaze and scumminess. Like, so much sleaze. Like, every time he comes out, I've never mentioned this on the show yet, but every time he comes out, I keep thinking, like, this man has this fake imitation, knocked off version of DMX. Oh my God.
Stop being greedy.
Stop being greedy. Exactly. He's like, he has that fake version. Like, it keeps sliding because I keep forgetting it. Why does this man keep sliding? But anyway, it's just like, yeah, that's the thing. And I mean, I hope, like, I'm not, or I kind of do hope that, like, on the Go Home show, he says this, like, I could have been you. I've been like, I was on the pulse of this the whole time. But yeah, it's just a very personal story. And, like, I really think it's a really nice touch. Is like, Moxley thinks this dude is redeemable, even though we've seen nothing to let us believe this. I mean, and maybe it's part of the fact that, like, Moxley is kind of with these kind of shenanigans, or could be a part of some of these shenanigans if he wasn't this anti-hero, but he finds a piece of himself in Kingston, and he's like, I'm trying to drag that out of you. Once I beat leave you unconscious or make you quit or whatever else. Like,
well, he was saying he's gonna beat him until he's his friend again.
Right,
so.
Right. I really, out of nowhere too, because 2 weeks ago, or almost 3 weeks ago, I was like, why are they going? It's like they're headed towards us again. Why? He just dispatched of him, just like you mentioned earlier, Sam. And now I'm just like, after these promos they've cut on each other the last 2 weeks, it's like, it's very similar to like this, to the Samoa Joe 2017 talk up the hype to get you just like, all of a sudden you're just hot as shit out of nowhere. And like, just they've crafted this seemingly out of nowhere. Like, you know, I made the joke about Iron Man, about like, they seemingly just made this shit out of bits and parts and scraps in a cave, and it just worked so well.
And like, I was actually kind of worried about Full Gear, because when they were heading into that Archer match, I was like, what the heck are they going to be doing Moxley at Full Gear if they're going to be doing this singles? I think I'd earmarked that as when Omega and Moxley would meet again. Mm-hmm. But then they announced that the singles final would be at Full Gear. I was like, geez, what are they going to do with Moxley? Like, and I was thinking through my mind, who can he go against? Who can he go against that's going to get him through to that match that I hope is going to happen with Omega, I guess, now at Revolution. And they've just pulled this out of nowhere, as like, this guy got beaten clean in like 10 minutes a month ago. Right. And they've been able to just pull it, like, build it up out of, you know, and I mean, is there a chance that Eddie could win?
Oh, no. Absolutely.
No, not really. But
no.
I mean, in the heat of the battle, it's still going to be awesome.
Yeah. Like, ultimately the thing is, like, go hard enough to where you get the near fall where you think, oh my God, he's going to actually lose, and then after the kick out or the last gasp survival, like, you go from there and get out of the match, and that's success in itself. You know, I think that's really the main thing. Just get people to buy into one or two near falls for Kingston by the end of the match, and then, you know, go home from there.
It's going to be tough because of the I Quit match, so no near falls, but they need to feel like Moxley's, like, finished at some point in the match.
Well,
like, he cannot go through. It'll be like, he cannot go through this. Right. Like, he will not put himself through this.
Right.
Like, Eddie's got, you know, set the Lucha Brothers on him and set the Butcher and the Blade on him and got him into a position where he's got to, you know, that thing that he said last year, I think, when they were doing the stuff with Kenny where he had to crawl through glass. They're going to put him in a situation where you're like, there's no, like, he's got no option but to quit. But Moxley, being the badass that he is, he'll crawl through that glass and come out the other end. Yeah,
die hard.
That's it.
Yeah. So, what would you say is the next match? Would it be the Young Bucks versus FTR, or would it be Kenny Omega and Hangman? Because I'm willing to put FTR and Young Bucks as low as you can put it.
I would probably say Kenny and Hangman.
Thank you.
Because, like, you know, it's the return of singles Kenny Omega on pay-per-view, which is very exciting. These guys have been linked, and they've had this tournament. Nice tournament. We'll get to it later in the review, but Hangman and Kenny, Sam, how you feeling about this? Like, how about everything, you know, going with both of these guys kind of, you know, breaking out from their team and, you know, going into this thing here?
It's just been an incredibly long story, but a really good one where we've had so many little teasers. Like, I just remember at Revolution, which was in February.
Yep.
Where they teased that buckshot. First they teased, like, the Young Bucks super kicking Hangman, and then they teased, and the crowd was so into each one of those things. And I mean, AEW has done an incredible job with Hangman, and I know you guys aren't quite as hot on Hangman as what a lot of people are, but, you know, this guy was not, when they put him out there to be, and he made that promo back in 2019 where he was saying, I'm going to become the first champion, it was like, oh, really? Really? And then he got up against Jericho, and it was like, wow, this man's going to have to, like, have the best showing he has ever had to be in that position. But now, a year later, it's like, this guy fits. People love this man, and he feels like a main event star because of all of the toing and froing they did in that tag team, because of the way that they've had have him. He was almost the dominant force in that tag team, and Omega was kind of in the background, and you could see the resentment from Omega building up, bubbling up a little bit, and now Omega's come out and reminded everyone just how great he is and how big of a star he is, and, you know, is playing fully into that idea that he is the greatest, that he is sending up the idea that he is God's greatest gift to wrestling, and leaning so hard into that you've got this, you actually have a really interesting dynamic between them as well, beyond just like, it's going to be a banger, they've got history. You've got this guy who's like really earnest, and wants to prove himself against a guy who thinks he is acting like he is a god almost. And, I've no doubt that Kenny Omega believes that he will absolutely wipe the floor with Hangman Page, but Hangman's he's going to be going into it going, this is the biggest fight of my life, but I'm going to give it everything I got.
James?
Yeah, I'm with you on the layout of it. I think the thing for me is just like, I'm a person that's like, I'm watching stuff from week to week and I'm just like, all right, actions or whatever else. Actions and talk, like, cool, but like actions are what really matter more than anything else. So like, when Hangman is like so caught up with like being a dick to the Young Bucks, and he knows that like his tag partners are so close with the Young Bucks, and then like ultimately he, instead of wanting another match with them after he, boat raced both of them out of there, at Revolution, to like take the easy way out and screw them dudes from getting another chance at a title shot. And then like, as you mentioned, the building for and protection for Hangman was you going to tag with Kenny and you're going to win every match with the pinfall, with a finish. For him to go out and lose at the end, and then like, just like not understand, or I get the sympathy for people having for him because they like him, but for me it's just like, he's an asshole. He screwed over his friends. His friends didn't do anything to him that in equal response to the stuff that they've done to him. I don't really find that dude that like worthy of redemption, at least not yet. So it's like, I mean, because obviously, you can go on the path towards it, similar to, Seth in 2017, right? But if it is there, it ain't there yet. So, and I'm just like, all right, he's gonna go out here and have a match, and most people are going to be into the Hangman thing, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, like, Kenny's the one that actually should have a grudge against that dude. Like, he screwed over his friends, and then he lost the belts. Like, that's how I see it.
Do you watch BTE, James?
No, I watch on.
Oh, okay. There's been some interesting stuff on that, and I wish it was on Dynamite, and it's AEW's fault it's not, where Hangman's been talking about how he realized that he was always going to be second fiddle for the Bucks, that they wouldn't accompany him to the ring for his biggest match ever against Chris Jericho, whereas they accompanied Kenny to the ring for all of his biggest matches, and that was when he realized that he was always going to be a prop for the Young Bucks, and he would be, everything that he did would be able to be leveraged by like the Young Bucks and the Elite to be, look what we have given you, like you need to be grateful to us, look what we have given you, and that's why he wanted to take his destiny in his hands. And look, to be honest, they haven't done the best job explaining that, beyond what they've done on BTE. So on actual Dynamite, I totally understand where you're coming from. Yeah. But I guess that's what he's saying, is that, look, these guys were, like, I was getting something from them, but they weren't actually behind me the way that they said they were. And he said the same thing to Brendan. He had a really interesting kind of thing with Brendan Cutler, when Brendan Cutler was like asking the Young Bucks to be on his side and sit in his corner, and they were like, no, I don't think we will. He was like, look, you'll always be a prop to them, and yes, they've done some nice things to you, for you, but they will always hold that over you.
Yeah, and that's what I mean about
they were like, we only second one wrestler.
Yeah, and he thought with,
that's what they literally
FTR,
said.
And he thought with FTR that they might have been his boys because they had so much in common. And
right, because they're
obviously they were just screwing him over. Yeah,
they're both Southern white guys, dumb it, and then drink beer.
They love beer.
Like that's the thing when it comes to it with me. It's like, okay, it's like when we talk about emotions versus, and I call him the emo cowboy. It's like that's what I mean when it comes to the emotions part about it. With him is like, he tells you, or he'll tell you obviously off on BTE or Road 2's how he feels. But then, like, he'll go in these shows and then he'll screw over these people that, like, haven't done anything necessarily wrong to him. And it's like, bro, that's a you problem. That's not a Young Bucks and Kenny Omega problem. That's in your head. You are your own worst enemy. And I understand how people, like, feel for that kind of character, because a lot of people also feel that they have self-destructive tendencies or whatever else. And they, you know, they hope that this dude can overcome that. But for me, I'm just like, hey, bro, you will fuck up. Just stop fucking up and you'll be okay. What's wrong with you, bro, dude? And that's why I don't care that, like, he's drowning his sorrows in alcoholism and beer. It's like, hey, bro, unfuck yourself. Seek help. There are professionals that will help you, cowboy. But I can tell you this, wrestling and throwing your head at the ground will not help you. That will only make things worse.
I'm very excited about this match. As Sam mentioned, this has been a very long-term story, and essentially, like, the big controversy and talking point has been Kenny Omega's usage the first year of AEW, and you know, it feels good to say that I believe on this show have said the whole time, like, clearly this is building towards, you know, him, like, when Kenny did all his jobs in the beginning, it's like, okay, cool. Everybody that's now in the main event scene has been established and had to go through Kenny. So by that time, it's time for him to come back around. He's got something cool to do in the meantime with Hangman. He can lend his star power and his credibility to Hangman, help make another star, and then that's his next program. And by that time, that's probably going to carry the company into 2021. And we're here now. So after a 228-day title reign with like 10 defenses, there'll probably be a tag team of the year. Kenny's a wrestler of the year candidate. I know that he's got an opportunity to add on to his resume at the end of the year with this match with Paige, and whatever happens from now. I don't think he's much of a lock as he once was, but him and Hangman, they have shown they have chemistry not only on screen as a team, in matches. Like from the third episode of Dynamite, they started teaming up. Everyone loved the team. That was that
great tag match with those two versus Pac and Moxley, where Moxley walked out on Pac, and Pac. That's when Pac got his first loss in AEW, right? Yeah, that was like was that like the second or third show of Dynamite?
That was like the third week or something.
Yeah. Crazy.
So this has like been crafted. Like Kenny lost his first big main event against Jericho. Hangman lost that main event against Jericho, and from there they were kind of together, like for the most part, you know. And now with them, you know, the fallout over the summer, I want to see Kenny beat that ass.
That's how I feel about it. Like,
just saying. That's
exactly how I feel. It's like he decided he is at the top of the card. He loses. He decides to go side questing with his young boy. His young boy keeps winning these matches or whatever else. And then at the end, like, he has problems with people that are of Hangman's, or I'm sorry, of Kenny's that Kenny is closer to than him. And he it's just like, for me, it's like, what could Kenny have done as a human being to like have, you know, make this work more smoothly? Like, I feel like he's the aggrieved party. I hope he blasts his fucking head off. Like, that's me too. Yeah. Like, just, man, V-trigger that man's head to fucking San Diego from Jacksonville. I don't care.
Like, and it's funny,
match, like, blast him.
Like, Kenny's been the one to kind of undergo this, quote unquote, this character change, and you know, kind of embraces more eccentric qualities, I would describe it as, and you know, his critical acclaim and stuff like that. Like, that's the stuff that I love, that fires me up. So it's like, I'm not gonna boo no Kenny Omega. Like, he's clearly like gonna be the straw that stirs the drink here. And but
I think there's also some at play. Like, I mean, I don't know. I think, you know, I wish there was a full crowd, and maybe there'll be enough crowd to actually fill this. But like, in the aftermath of this match, regardless of whoever wins or loses, if this is indeed the full-on, you know, the turn or the final push to get Kenny Omega to full heel Kenny Omega, I hope he does take a page from Jericho when he was wrestling Shawn and call the fans hypocrites. Like, I didn't break up the Elite. Hangman did. Why are you booing me?
I didn't lose the belts. Hangman did.
Right. He's the asshole.
And
I didn't lose.
All I've been hearing all year is, we want the cleaner back. We want singles Kenny Omega. Here he is. Why are you booing him?
Right. Like, so I really hope there is the Jericho hypocrite angle there, because it's absolutely there at play. I don't know what I'm saying is I hope he uses it. So, because it's there.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Yeah. Hey.
And also, I'm just so happy to have Kenny Omega as a singles wrestler back. I really am. Like, look, no disrespect. Like, I love the tag matches or whatever else. I like to see Kenny Omega by himself doing his thing. Like, I don't want to see Kazuchika Okada in a fucking tag team. I don't want to see Mayu and, like, I know she tags all the time. I don't want to see Mayu and Tani in a tag team. I don't want to see Io Shirai in a tag team. I don't want to see Ishii in a tag team, even if it's a never or whatever else thing. I want to see the top dudes at their best as acts, kicking all kinds of ass or getting their ass kicked. I'm fine with that. That's kind of what I prefer to the tag matches. Like, I think a lot of the other stuff kind of, it's cool, but like, I feel like it's easier to tell one-on-one stories than it is to tell four-person stories to try to get that through. And like, I think they did a great job with those two, and even with the Young Bucks stuff or whatever else, every tag team they faced. But I feel like, I feel like this.
We're here now.
I think the match is going to blow the roof off. Like, I think this is going to be one of the better matches in AEW this year. I'm really happy that we're going to get to this point, because like, I had to wait so fucking long to get through these fucking tag matches. Like, and don't ruin the great tag matches, but I want singles action.
There is a difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard. The Young Bucks do a good job of it too, but like, it's really hard to get that. Well, aside from the last couple weeks, but it's really hard to get the four people, and two of them hate the other two, and vice versa, as opposed to one person and this person, and something's in the way, or there's a tension there, and there's going to be resolved in the ring one way or the other. It's just so much narratively neater, and it's such less effort, and it's more efficient to me. That's just what it is. Like, don't get me wrong, I love tag wrestling, but I'm just glad Kenny's out, like his prison. Out. He's out. And it's time to go.
Yeah, so who we got?
I was thinking Kenny, and until I think it was this week, just some bloke I follow on Twitter, Gareth, he was posting a thing about why Hangman should win. And I kind of, I don't know if I completely agree with it, but I kind of understood where he's coming from, in that if they really want to make Hangman the star, and they kind of have been saying, look, Hangman is the future of this promotion, if they risk putting a glass ceiling on him if he continually loses to the top guys. So he's already lost to Jericho. If he loses to Kenny, that's like, I always look at the four top guys are Kenny, Moxley, Jericho and Cody, and that would be him losing to two of them, so it almost sits him at that level, but just below them. And to get through that level, it can get harder and harder the more you beat him with those top guys.
That's true.
I think AEW could do it, because it's kind of, that's like a WWE thing that we're sort of importing in, but I can kind of see the argument for Hangman beating Omega, just to like push him through to that final top level and solidify him at that top level. But man, I'd love to see Hangman and Moxley, but man, I want to see Omega and Moxley again, because they're going to smash it.
Yeah, I think the thing for me is I have trust in this promotion that I don't have in on the main roster. So for me, like, they can beat Johnny Gargano to death, because I know eventually he's going to get the title. Regardless of, even if it's 2 months, just 2 fucking months, he's going to get the belt. And I think the thing for me is, if the idea is to get Kenny Omega as a heel, I feel like the best path for that is whatever he does, takes an easy way out, a shortcut, what have you, but beats Hangman, succeeds Moxley as champion, reigns as the heel, and then the person to eventually topple him is Hangman in their second match. And I trust in their long-term
make people
booking.
From a business perspective, people will pay for that.
Right. Right. It's just because it's a legitimate.
And also, you run the risk of crowds maybe coming back by them.
Right. Right. So, like, for me, like, because I trust in the long-term booking in a way that I really only trust with New Japan, AEW, Stardom, and NXT at the top of the card. Like, a chase will actually be fulfilled before it's on the back, before it's like way past its peak, or they've done something to screw up the character. So I can buy into that with them. So I'm willing to, so I see it as like that's setting up for a bigger, payoff potentially if he were to win later on and supplant Kenny. And by that time he will officially have been, in that ranking. Because I mean, by that point in time, there's still time for him. Hangman, you mentioned about the top 4. Like, he could lose and then mess around and become the TNT champion for a while, lose it, and then come back by the end of next year and win it. Like, there's still things for him to do.
They planted seeds for him versus Brody, potentially. Yeah, I think
you're
right.
That's right, because that's true with the Brody thing. Absolutely, that's been there for months.
Man, that'd be an awesome match as well. And Park's coming back. Park and Hangman, you can run that one back as well.
That'd be the 4th match, right? If they were to have another match.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I love their feuds.
Hell, you can have Jericho fight Hangman, and then basically have Hangman topple back all the dominoes that have led him down to this lowest point.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. Look, as I said, I think Omega will win it, but
then when Hangman's the champion, I'll say, and then when Hangman's the champion, what heel do you have coming up? Cody. MJF.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Cody, but yeah. But he can't fight for the challenge, or he can't fight for the belt ever again. Why? Because he self-imposed some shit that's not legal. That's how he's gonna turn heel. Like, he's going to go back on that, and like, I'm gonna be like, I told you this shit was stupid when they did it back in 2019. Yeah. It could be.
Speaking of stipulations about not being able to fight for the belt again, do you want to move on to FTR?
Oh my fucking god! All right, let's go.
Oh man,
let's do it. We did a thorough breakdown of our issues with it last week. So Sam, FTR versus the Young Bucks. How much more excited? If this is the case, or not the case, let us know. But how much more excited were you about this match like 3 months ago than you are now?
I mean, I think everyone's still excited for it, but we're just like, what have you guys been doing? Like, did you think this whole thing through? And then, like, all of a sudden, it's now like the Young Bucks have got to win, otherwise they can't fight for the title again, and that's what Cody did last year, and it's like, what is going? Like, I trust you guys to save it in the ring, but what is going on? And man, it's just so weird that it's been. Like, the 2 biggest FTR matches have, like, kind of almost, that one, the match with Omega and Hangman, it was good, but, it wasn't like this transcendent level.
Yeah, it was a disappointment based on expectations.
And like, they haven't blown the roof off with the lead up. They've kind of, I thought they'd salvaged it when they, when they Pillmanized Matt's leg, but then this week they did an interview which was kind of interesting, but then they added this weird stipulation on it. It's like, what? Like, what's going on? Why are we doing this stipulation again? And like, I thought it could be shot like dickhead Young Bucks are having a shot at Cody, but they haven't phrased it that way. No one else mentioned like how it echoes of Cody from Full Gear last year. It's just a baffling. Yeah.
I'm glad
they've got every other main event thing.
Right.
Right. But this is just
Sam, I gotta tell you, I'm glad that you don't like this. I thought you would like this. I'm like, I don't understand any of the people's motivation in this. Like, it's 4 bad guys. Have at it. I don't care, man. Like, I hope the match is good, but like, the young. Go ahead.
I kind of get the overall direction of the Young Bucks heading that way, but the problem is they've put this match up with like the company's most despicable heels. like at the wrong point of this arc. That should have been what caused the Young Bucks to like fly off the handle and go, okay, we need to become what we were in 2016 when we thought these guys, you know, when they get beaten by FTR the first time, that's when they like go back to being, you know, scummy, arrogant little pricks, because they're really good at it. Yeah. But instead it's like this is halfway through that transition, and it's just weird timing for it. No.
Me or you, Rich?
Yeah, this has been a weird run for the Revival. The Revival's eventual indie run has not gone the way we thought it would.
Okay, so for me, this is like some boy who cried wolf shit. Like, I don't know how many title shots or how many number one contendership matches the Young Bucks have blown, but it has to be at least 5 at this point, right? Like, let's see. They did they have a match with SCU when they were champions? Didn't SCU beat them when they were champs in the title defense?
Yes,
that's one.
Yes.
They lost to they lost a private party in the first round of the tournament. Yeah. That's 2. They lost to Hangman and Kenny. That's 3. I feel like there's other ones shots that they've had to get in and they've lost as well. But anyway, like you have they have oh my god, what's his name? Masked announcer, AEW.
Excalibur.
They have Excalibur on every fucking, pre-show 24/7 thing. Road to say the Young Bucks are the best team in the world, and all they do is fucking lose whenever it matters. And now they're like, all right, well, we're gonna put our money where our mouth is. It's like, all right, bro, like that would be far more helpful if you were clear cut baby faces and not dicks. Where people be like, oh no, this is their last gasp. They have put it all on the line, and now it's like, you've been kicking ring announcers and Tony Schiavone for no fucking reason for the last 2 months. I don't care if you don't win the titles in a month. Fuck you. Like, so it's like, for me, it's like, you're dicks. Why should I care? Like, would it suck if a great team like you don't have a chance to be ever champions? Yeah, but you're an asshole, so why should I care?
I think that's what they're depending on. That's what they're depending on.
That they're the best?
Like, no, they're depending on you feeling like, whoa, fuck, what, they can never be the champions? Nah, we gotta, like, root for the Young Bucks.
No!
Like, or else, like, this shit is like, what's going on here? And in a way, the way the Cody situation was so jarring, where Cody hadn't failed, he won every single match going into that. So it's like, why would you do that?
And
the Bucks have lost everything going into that.
And the thing for me, another distinction of is like, Cody was the hottest white meat baby face we've had in years in the sport, maybe, or the fake sport or industry, or whatever you want to call it. And then that happened. The Young Bucks, they've been assholes for the last month and a half or whatever. So it's like, that sucks if it happened to them, but like, I don't really feel bad if they don't. So like, I just like
it's not forever though. It's not forever. It's Like what they've done in the storyline is not forever. Like, they can always go back to being like great baby faces, and they would always have that scar on them.
Yeah,
so but I think that's why.
But the thing for me is like, if they had actually cleaned up what the mess they got themselves into when they, we talked about this last weekend, and then they did that promo, and the only thing they gave us was, well, we have an edge now because of what happened to us with Hangman and FTR. And it's like, well, what is this like? But the way you're reacting is by like kicking innocent people, not like, cheating. It's not just confined to, okay, you cheat in the ring from time to time, or you get more vicious. It's like, you're also dicks to innocent people. Like, so it's like,
it could be,
it sounds like cap, but it sounds like bullshit to me.
It could be funny if they win and the Dynamite after or straight after they cut a promo or something and they're like trying to celebrate with all the other tag teams, like, they're happy, look at what we did, guys, we won it, we finally beat these dastardly guys, we've been ruling the division, and Private Party and Best Friends are all like, no, you guys we don't like you guys anymore.
Right.
We don't want... Right, we're not going to party with you.
Right, remember when they
we're not happy for you.
Remember when they super kicked Private Party like 3 weeks ago in the face after shaking their hands? It's like, no, I'm not going to celebrate. We're going to stop a mole in you, dude.
I'm picking the Bucks. Like this one has a I think a clear line difference than the Cody one. And I don't think the Bucks, like, they're going to scar the Young Bucks like that, because if they can't win the belts, then they have to break them up, essentially. And they did flash something on BTE, which was quite interesting, that Matt, he had a cell phone, right, that told him the future after he would take a picture of somebody. And it would show him, it was like some Twilight Zone shit. So he took a picture of Nick or whatever, and then all of a sudden he flashed, and then Nick was holding the TNT title or whatever by himself. So eventually, we gonna get that Nick Jackson TNT title run, which sign me up. Yes, sign me up. But
you look so interested,
I got the Bucks all the way.
No, it's just the idea of. Now, I don't necessarily say teasing it, but it's like, if that is the future, I'm okay with Nick Jackson being a singles wrestler, like, in the ring only. Like, I do not trust him as a talker whatsoever. So, like, that's kind of the thing, so if he could talk, then I'd be okay with him being a singles act, right? Because he's a great wrestler. But it's another thing is, like, is Matt done? Like, is Matt going to start tagging with...
Never know.
Is Matt going to start tagging with Matt Hardy, and they can both be the Matt Hardy, the Matt Hardy, Matt Jackson, Genettis that they naturally are, where they just like, we are the lesser wrestlers of our two brothers. We are also the older brothers, and, that's kind of, we've made our lot in life, and we find a relationship and a connection in that, where we can just both be, number two. Like,
They've both got bad backs.
That's true. So I mean, whatever.
Young Bucks all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go Young Bucks.
I'll go Young Bucks. Like at this point, like when they said like they did the Cody step. I was like, dude, now I officially like, I don't care who wins. Whatever y'all want to do. Y'all have. This is not what I was expecting 5 months ago. This is not what I wanted 5 months ago. If I had known this was going to turn out to be a mess, a narrative mess. Where do we go next from here?
So we got Cody and Darby Allin for the TNT Championship.
Should be a good match.
So this one kind of came out of nowhere. Should be a good match, as James mentioned. So we're about a week out. We got 1 week to do whatever. Cody's in a 6-man tag next week. I don't know what Darby's involved in. But of course he had the hot feud with Ricky Starks throughout this period. Just kind of seems like they're pulling this match out of thin air. Sam, how you feeling about Cody versus Darby Allin?
It's kind of out of thin air in that Cody was just finishing up with Orange Cassidy, and they're still kind of getting circled by the Dark Order, and then Darby Allin's just thrown in. But because Cody has such a rich history with Darby Allin, I'm perfectly fine to give it a pass. Because Cody, they had that draw originally in the original championship tournament. Darby hit the coffin drop and
tilt.
And Cody rolled him up or tilted him up.
They also had that match on New Year's Day, which is, I think, kind of goes forgotten, but that was a great match.
Yeah, that was that's like a 4-star match.
Yeah, and I mean Cody's made this TNT Championship out of wrestling different wrestlers every single week, so I'm sure they'll talk about it this week, and it'll be, it's not a build that's going to blow the roof off or that's anyone's throwing their babies in the air about, but it's good. it'll be a good match, and they've got enough history that it's still solid what they can do.
Yeah, I believe they're playing off the history that we all should know by now, because it's been so well, for the most part, very well done. So, this is kind of like the most real estate Cody has ever really given up to the rest of the shows leading up to pay-per-views. Like, this isn't some big thing, personal thing or whatever else. This is more or less like, all right, I'm having a match. So he's getting moved around on the card. But ultimately, I think they're gonna have another good ass match. It doesn't feel like the right time for Darby to win, but eventually he has to beat Cody. And with this, a lot of this stuff is us waiting. Like, all right, well, you got to save that in this, in that, in this for when the crowds come back. But like, we don't know when the crowd's coming back, right? So it's like, eventually you got to pull the trigger on this. Otherwise, you're gonna have a lot of these people that are chasing, running on fumes. So if they decide to change the belt and have Cody, not Cody, but Darby finally beat Cody, then I'm fine with it. Like, whatever they do, I think I'm okay. Well, barring some ridiculous Cody stuff, but as far as the result, I think I'll be good either way.
So Arn Anderson did something
cheated
in his match this week. He punched Orange Cassidy in the face.
Yep.
I'm wondering if he's going to try to assert himself in this match, and that lead to something with Cody. Like, hey, what the hell's going on? Cody is building a faction now. I don't know if you guys know this, but he's officially added Lee Johnson to the Nightmare family as well as the Gun Club. I just want to go over the roster for the Nightmare family. Y'all tell me what y'all think about
how many people are in this family.
Right, everybody, right? So we've got the head of the faction. We've got Cody Rhodes. Then I would say his number 2 is his brother Dustin, and then he has QT. His young boy is Lee Johnson. He's got a tag team in the Gun Club, and he's got a women's wrestler in Brandy Rose. Is this one of the sorriest factions y'all have ever seen?
I don't think I've seen Lee Johnson anything other than getting squashed. It was Lee Johnson. Lee Johnson was also in the campaign trail for MJF against Moxley, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
okay.
Lee Johnson's actually good. I would vouch for Lee Johnson.
Okay, so for me, people that I want to watch in the Nightmare family would be Cody Rhodes and his brother Dustin and no one else. Like, no disrespect to Lee Johnson. Maybe if I saw him more, I would be okay with that, but I don't want to see another soul out of that. In Nightmare Family. Like, no thank you. Like, I'm not saying they're as bad as like Oedo Tai before B and Konami got there, but I also don't want to watch them either. So it's just like it's a real barren faction. Like the Gun Club, Billy Gunn is damn near 60, ain't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Huge still.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder how he does it.
Yeah.
So, and then his brother. His son gives off the worst energy. The get the fuck off my screen energy.
Yeah, I don't ever want to hang out with Wallace and Gunn.
He could be as prodigious as Dominic Mysterio Jr. or Azumi or whatever, and I would never know because I don't want to see that dude. He just looks, bro. He looks like he's destined to suck. He just does. And I'm sorry, I'm calling it. I'm reading a book by its cover, but Rich, you watch Dark. Is he any good?
I'll say this. They have 2 young guys that are in the Nightmare family. Lee Johnson is the clear selection amongst those 2.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Lee Johnson has not been positioned as someone who's going to set the world alight yet, but every single match he's had, he's done something that just like, you're like, oh, that's impressive. This guy can go. So when the time comes to put the motor behind him, who knows?
Okay.
He's this year's Jungle Boy. How Jungle Boy was and everything. Damn. He's he's kind of in that role right now. I would look for 2021.
You just undercut the joke I had in my mind. I'm gonna say, are we sure that Austin Gunn is not another Jungle Boy? But then you said Jungle Boy, so you undercut whatever I was gonna say. So it is what it is. Whatever.
So, I brought that up because I'm wondering if those people are gonna get involved in this match. Cody and Darby, plenty of rich history between them. As James said, I would go either way. I don't think Darby Allin's at the point of no return to where if you beat him, people will lose hope and faith in him. I would be circling everything to start thinking about, you're going to want to pull the trigger on that at least by like double or nothing. I think you can push this to. So for me, Cody's still, solid, business wise. I don't really see any reason to go away from him. So I'm going to pick Cody to retain. And this one, like Kazuchika Okada lost in the Tokyo Dome to Tanahashi twice. I think Darby Allin can come back from this.
Yeah, I agree. Darby Allin, I mean, his thing in Evolve was just that he got beaten. So you can, you don't want to completely ruin him, but he's a guy that can take some losses, and it'll only make the comeback better eventually.
Yes,
so
James. I compared Darby Allin to Kazuchika Okada. Yeah, I did that. The reason I did that was
if you're looking at the screen and you're looking like might just discuss, it wasn't because of the Darby Okada comparison. That's not at all. I just had the realization that he added these dudes to the Nightmare family so that he can go to war and have some multiple person match with the Dark Order. That's exactly what this is for.
Yeah, he probably wants to do War Game.
Hey.
You already know.
Stop putting QT Marshall on my TV screen unless he's getting whooped or he's trying to fuck the bunny, please. That's all I want. I either want him to get murdered by the blade or I want him to fuck the bunny. And I don't mean like I need to see him fuck the bunny. Like I want it like they close to the hotel room and they close the door and he puts a sock on the door. That's all I need. That's all I need.
All I heard there was live sex celebration, James.
No, I don't want that. I just either want boot knocking or boot rocking. You pick. Oh man. Okay. What's next?
We've got the next match, Chris Jericho and MJF. These two guys, we got a heel versus heel match here.
Is this the rare feud where like that I've kind of, I don't think I've ever really encountered where it's like somebody's turning face. Somebody is turning face. Don't know who,
yes,
but one of them is turning face.
The result of many heel versus heel matches is somebody's turning face, and I think it's Chris Jericho. And I feel like a coup is on the horizon here. There may be a new leader of the Inner Circle sooner than later.
Like a two-door car?
No, like there is like an insurrection, like there is a takeover about to happen.
No, Rich, no, it's spelled coup, but it's pronounced cool.
Yeah.
That's why.
So I guess that's like my Cam Newton language.
Yes,
that's my Cam Newton language.
Yes.
Don't go calling it a coup after the election happens.
Oh my god! You can MJF, new leader of Inner Circle. You can ink it in gold.
Cam Newton. Okay, you go. Cam
the monotonism of Chris Jericho. In the Inner Circle.
You stupid.
But yeah, I think
we don't play. Or sorry, what was it? Football? Or what do you say? You don't ballet football. Or you don't play ballet. What did Cam Newton say about ballet and football? I can't remember. It was some crazy line. Whatever. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I feel like they'll have to figure out something with Wardlow getting in the Inner Circle with MJF because that's his muscle or whatever to make everybody else get in line. There's natural tension there. Maybe you even split it to where Proud and Powerful, of course, they're conflicted as well because it was like Ortiz was like, I don't like you. Santana, right. I don't know. But it seems like there's a Sammy Jericho, Santana side of this, and Hager, and then there's maybe an Ortiz, MJF, Wardlow. We don't know. Like there's still a lot up in the air, but this is this is all very interesting because of the millions of ways they can go. Sam, how have you felt about this feud from the inception? And then, of course, I would love to know what you thought of the song and dance routine. And then, looking at this heel versus heel thing and who's becoming good here.
Yeah, look, I really like this. This is like an example. I just dropped a column actually on Wrestling Headlines talking about how I've just really loved AEW and what they've done. And we've dropped a few things on them, and we'll probably do some more before this podcast ends. But just in general, it's been a fantastic year of TV. And this is just an example of why. They dropped hints about this a year ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. They screwed Cody.
And they started showing like Jericho and MJF that they're similar kinds of people, and that they've got this kind of symbiotic, competitive, but also they look at each other and see how they can use one another to like leverage and to build themselves up. And I love the dynamic between them. And yeah, look, it all kind of came to a head with them having a song and dance off, which I don't know. I personally enjoyed it. I thought it was cheesy as hell, and if it was anyone else, they wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked. But because it's these two characters that are both just like so over the top, and Jericho's like this. He's like this old washed up rock star, and he's trying to keep up with this new guy who's like. Is basically him from 30 years ago, right? And you could see even at the end, the lyrics were hilarious. And at the end, you could see when MJF was like, "One more time, Chris," and you could see Chris Jericho got a look in his eyes. He was like, "Shit, I can't do this one more time. I'm blown up." and he's like, "No, just the final line." "Oh yeah, let's do it." And then they've got this tension between the group as well, where Chris Jericho, you can see Chris Jericho's like, I can see how we can leverage having MJF in this group, but the rest of the group's not cool with it because they're like, don't you know who this is? This is MJF. He turns on everyone. Right. He's gonna come in here and he's gonna like screw us up. And then of course you've got Wardlow as well, who's like just sitting over there ready to bust out as like this decade's version of Batista, just ready to be like the one that everyone loves. And just the different things that are at play. I love it. I love it when you've got so many things at play.
What you're saying is that AEW championship lineage further then descends into more things making sense. So after MJF takes it off Hangman, then Wardlow's right there.
Yeah.
This is such a well-booked company. Oh my god.
Yeah. And I just love it when there's just so many threads going on, and we don't know what's going to happen. MJF could join, and Wardlow could be kind of left out, and that could be the thread that sends Wardlow to space as a baby face that everyone loves. Or Wardlow could get brought in, and as Rich said, they could end up splitting the two, and they've got Inner Circle Wolfpack and Inner
Circle Wolfpack. Okay, so
but, it's just so compelling because this isn't gonna they're gonna have more matches down the road. I think MJF is gonna win this one because that's what's gonna further the story, and it's hugely compelling weekly TV.
I'm still shaking from the Inner Circle Wolfpack part. Because it's like, I would gladly buy Inner Circle stuff that has nothing to do with Jericho at this point. I gladly would. There's so much at play because, a couple weeks ago, I was like, once they were giving out the jackets and he forgot Sammy's jacket, I was like, okay, that's a clear opportunity to do MJF versus Sammy. But, now they're doing Jericho and they haven't done that yet. But there's just a tension right there between Wardlow and Hager as heavies for these two jackasses. That's gonna happen eventually too. There's so many levers and threads to pull on, before they, blow it up or go wherever they go, that I'm just, it's all just interesting. And, I don't know how good that match is gonna be, but this is like what the fifth match we're talking about. Like, it ultimately doesn't have to be great anyway. It could just be a standard Jericho pay-per-view match, which is just, running, well, except for the last one, it's just running the mill good, and we can go on from there. Like, everything that happens after, or, the angle is more important than the actual match.
Right. Like, and you can argue that this is for the storytelling and the promotion, it's like maybe number 2 with an argument for number 1. Like, it's a day 1 of the promotion faction, like, is going to change course, possibly, if MJF wins. I
would put it for me, well, if you're talking about from a long-term perspective, then yeah, I'd put it 2. If we're talking about just intriguing, plus, the amount of investment involved in it, I think I still put it below Kenny versus Hangman, but yeah, it's there. They've been surrounding each other ever since MJF screwed Cody at Full Gear last year. So in that promo right after, so like it's been there since November of 2019. So all you gotta do is just drop show some chemistry here and there, and then come back to it later and later. And this it's been really good. It's been really good. What's next?
Yeah. I'm gonna pick MJF to win here.
Oh, my bad. Yeah. I never actually thought about a winner. Jericho just lost last pay-per-view match. So did MJF. Yeah, MJF probably needs it more than, then again, you could do the whole situation where you have the match, Jericho beats MJF, Jericho then after beating him still puts him in. I mean, either way, I think he's getting in.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go MJF.
Yeah. So next match we've got, Hikaru Shida versus Nyla Rose for the AEW Women's World title. Nyla Rose basically said that she was not wrestling until...
When'd she say it, Rich? I didn't see her say it.
Vicky did it. Vicky cut a promo.
Oh, okay.
Where? Or was it on Dark, was it?
No. It was backstage.
When?
3 weeks ago? Something like that.
Oh, okay. 3 weeks ago. Okay.
The only thing I remember was someone mentioned that Nyla said this to Shida, and then Shida said, bring it on, and that's their, and then aside from, the title defense one of the title defenses recently that, Shida had, where Nyla was in ringside and she, made a stone, or made a smoldering face at the fact that Nyla is still, not Nyla, but Hikaru was still successful while Nyla was sitting ringside. Like, that's pretty much been the entire build of this feud. A stare, and somebody said something, and then she responds to it, and that's the whole build. I don't really have anything else. Do y'all have anything else on that? Like, I think this match is good because I really liked their match from a couple pay-per-views ago, but that's really all I got.
Yeah, I don't have much on this. It's like try, but
it feels so last minute. It feels so thrown together. Like, it feels like this last week they were like, crap, we've got a pay-per-view coming up. We haven't put Shida in a match. What are we going to do? We've got 30, a minute segment here we can do. We'll just say that she can fight Nyla. Like, it's so out of nowhere. And it's even worse than the last, before the last one, I came out and said, look, we've been giving the AEW women's division excuses, and some of them legitimate, but the build to the last one was bad. Shida was off TV for ages. They had a Hail Mary with Thunder Rosa coming in. This one's been even worse, and I don't this is a company that's got so much right, and this has been the stain. I almost want to say that even though it was not hitting, the women's division was in a better shape last year when you had the Brandy Rhodes stuff happening, because at least they were trying stuff. This feels so thrown together. Why is Nyla Rose being off TV if she's going to be a championship challenger?
Well, you could ask
Britt Baker was on TV for the last 2 weeks, and she's not on the pay-per-view. So why didn't they put Nyla Rose on it? because they didn't think of this until this week. That's what it feels like to me, at least.
Okay, so
this is where they've leaned on that ranking. So Nyla having that number one ranking, that was their excuse to not book her and basically give her that storyline out of I refuse to wrestle anybody or whatever. But like,
and the sad thing is, Sheeta is a really good wrestler, and she deserves way better than this.
Rich froze up. Say that part again.
I say it's a countdown until the belt's on Britt Baker. And it feels like this match is just happening until we can find one of them to drop the belt to her.
Yeah. I think the thing for me is, it's funny, as you mentioned it, how, like, you feel like they've done nothing with, Sam, how you feel like they've done nothing with, Nyla as a challenger for the title, and I gotta be quite honest with you, like, if you remember how they built her up for her to eventually take the belt off of Riho, it's very similar. She racked up wins on Dark. They in passing kind of told you that she was killing it on Dark, and then she took the title off on TV off of Riho in a great match. So like this, it's just a thing. Like, if you only have that
even then, though, she was.
I was saying, well, like, if you only, it's just a byproduct of only having that amount of time allotted to that division per week. Like, and it's fun. It is even listen to or not listen, but read like how it reads on the Observer. And this is one of the things that I get on Meltzer about is, like, he'll say stuff like, I'd rather watch Ray Phoenix than watch any of the women in AEW. He didn't say that verbatim, but that's what he was getting at. And it was like, bro, they barely even put Ray Phoenix on fucking TV. So even if it's Ray, so what's your point? Like, you're getting close to what you're getting real close to what the actual fit problem is right now, which is like, yeah, like, it's really hard to get on TV or get a lot of time or do something interesting in AEW if you're not a white guy right now. Why that is? I think a lot of the most talented people are white guys, but it's a weird thing to where, like, this keeps happening in, like, Phoenix is like, or not Phoenix, but Pentagon has had like 2 matches on Dynamite since, like, I forgot what it was, but it's been weeks, like, basically like since the last pay-per-view. Like, he's only had like 3 pay-per-view or 3 TV matches between this cycle. So, but back to the women, it's just clearly the person that they want to make a star is Britt Baker, and I have no problems with them trying to do that. And I feel like the stuff they've done with her and the things she's executed has been very good this year when she's been healthy. Me and Rich kind of had bookmarked before she blew out her knee or hurt her knee that, like, this would be about the time she would take the belt off of Sheeta. But injuries happen. But it's just a division that's not going to get off the ground if they do not develop or put time into it on screen, on Dynamite. And when Meltzer, puts out the thing about, like, the main event of Halloween Havoc versus Dynamite for the Pentagon and Kenny match, that Io and Candice beat them, but also in that same quarter, the Serena Deeb and Layla Hirsch match tanked, which is an excuse for, well, they sent people running and flocked to Halloween Havoc, which is like, no, the fuck they didn't. No, they didn't. So, it's becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy to an extent, where it's like, if the only person you're going to care about is Britt, then what do you think's going to happen?
So the thing that to kind of jump off what you're saying, the thing that frustrates me is that this is a company that, like, so meticulously plans things out, like we just mentioned with MJF to Jericho, and it doesn't feel like the women's division gets that attention. Right. Like, why would Serena Deeb and I've forgotten it. Why were they on TV? Why wasn't that Layla Hirsch versus Hikaru Shida with Nyla Rose sitting on the side, and then afterwards Nyla Rose comes in? Like, why wasn't that?
Check this out, Sam.
There.
Layla Hirsch and Hikaru Shida had a match on Dark the day before, which means it was taped the week before. in that match, to be fair, the Layla Hirsch Serena Deeb match was a replacement for the Abaddon and Ty Conti match because Ty Conti accidentally punched her in the throat and she couldn't breathe.
I heard the Shawn Spears match was the replacement, but
it was. You tell me. I don't know.
I mean, I've got no knowings of the backstage.
What happened?
Can you straighten out what was the replacement match on Dynamite?
It dropped.
Okay, so what was the replacement match for Abaddon?
Layla Hirsch and Serena Deeb.
Okay.
Oh, okay, I'm wrong. Sorry. All good. Yeah. Look. Anyway, why was Abaddon and Ty Conti originally booked there?
I agree.
It should.
I agree.
They're not giving it the attention. They're not giving the attention. They're not trying to, do the sorts of things they're doing so well in the other divisions. They're just sort of passing time and being like, "Crap, we got a pay-per-view. Let's."
Right. I feel like
these guys will have a good match. We'll put them on there, and they will.
Right.
They had a great match at Double or Nothing.
The
but the
segment is all yours.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the thing was I think the main thing for this cycle for the women's division was reestablish Britt and work on trying to get Thunder Rosa. And they put her on TV, they gave her that match. They put her on TV, established her, gave her that match. And then they had the tag thing together with them, and I think a lot of that was to try to get her into the fold, and now she's seemingly off the WWE, right?
And look, having watched Halloween Havoc, if you wanted to...
Okay.
You go, Rich.
So she's under contract until 2021 to the NWA, so she's not actually going anywhere now. She's playing games. So WWE's in pursuit of her, so is AEW, but she's still under contract.
Okay.
Well into 2021.
So why did they take the belt off?
So she's just like fucking with everybody.
So why did they take the belt off her?
I don't know, man.
With NWA not running, surely they could.
Yes.
Okay, so I see what they're doing. Okay, they're going to bring her back. She's probably going to win on Dynamite or some shit like that, or something. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's weird. Whatever. That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and look, having watched the stuff on Halloween Havoc, who could blame her for wanting to go to the WWE if she wants to mix with the best? Because
to NXT.
Yeah. Yeah.
The main roster is the sorry wasteland it's always been.
Yeah. Unless you were wrestling Sasha Banks or Asuka.
Yeah. As far as the women's division goes, it seems like it's a function. They get one segment, that's segment 6, 9:30. That's for them, and it's very competitive. You get on Dynamite, and they have routinely all summer shed viewers. That can't be ignored. Now, is there a reason they're shedding viewers? Yeah, no star creation.
Right.
So from there, you gotta. I think they're waiting to get their second show popped off, honestly, and be like, all right, if you want to see folks, that's gonna be the spot that's open for more people to compete for. It's just too. It seems like they got too much going on right now. They've got Lance Archer regularly missing weeks at a time. They've got Rey Fenix and the Lucha Brothers.
They do have too much.
They may disappear. So it's I'm not pushing Kenny Omega off the show for another women's match. I'm not pushing Cody off the show. I'm not pushing the Bucks off the show. I'm not pushing Jericho off the show. Sorry. I know it's cool to want to champion women's wrestling and all that, and I'm a fan of women's wrestling, but at the end of the day, it's a business. They need to make sure they're in a ratings war. And until they can establish that second show, I think this is going to be what it is. It's unfortunate, but it's the reality of the situation at the same time.
Yeah, but
the best that we can hope for is on pay-per-view, these folks get to kill, they get to save it like they've routinely done, especially these two right here.
Yeah, Rich, but there's also saying, we've gone over this a bunch of times before, I understand Kenny Omega and Cody and the Young Bucks and Jericho and Moxley. But can you also
forgot him?
Oh yeah, but like, let's not act like, the Jungle Boy and MJF and a lot of that mid card really is some established hot and running act like that the women could not easily catch up to at this point in time, given their familiarity with the product. Like, I get that, but like, what are we doing here? Like, do you want to have a women's division that makes some damn sense that people actually care about or not? Because the way you're going about it will lead me to believe you don't. And it's been a year, right? Like, we're more than a year now. We're at like 50, we're past 52 weeks. So it's like, all right, man, like, I can shoot, I can understand what you're up against. I absolutely can. But I can also see how, you don't let go of the rope on certain threads that y'all don't want to. And it keeps constantly becoming a thing of like, why is this always being left off? Why is, we can go back to it as far as like the seemingly out of nowhere. Why does Emi Sakura have to go on Twitter to explain the feud that's going to be on your fucking pay-per-view on Twitter, as opposed to you just putting it up there? Like, this has been an ongoing thing since last November. Like, I understand what they're up against. However, like, you guys have figured out masterfully how to handle so many different things. Why can't you solve this particular Rubik's Cube? Or even try?
Yeah.
You know, like, you've even attempted to even fix this yet. And it's been a year now.
Yeah, that's what I'd close in saying is, look, even if you're going to say, look, the reality is, let's be pragmatic, the reality is you're going to get one segment a week, at least plan that segment really well and do the best with that segment. And I don't think they're doing that at the moment. They could be doing better with the time they're given.
And you're right. They just have a lot of talent. They absolutely do have a lot of talent. But like, just like they figured out ways how to spread out, like, Team Taz with Cage and Archer and Jake and the Dark Order with Brody. They figured out how to keep those three in order. Kingston. They figured out how to juggle all this stuff. And hell, they've even added the Kingston thing. That wasn't even there before. But this one particular ball, this whole division of however many dozen wrestlers are there, this ball keeps getting dropped when they're juggling all this stuff. And then but I keep seeing them juggle more and more shit. But this one particular ball keeps getting dropped. It's like, all right, bro, I get it. You don't like this blue fucking ball. All right. Like, we have to just accept it. He doesn't want to juggle, or he, as if it's Tony Khan's situation, but like, they're not juggling this one particular ball, and we have to start asking why. I feel like a year's long enough. I just do.
So, is there anybody in the division besides Britt Baker or maybe Big Swole you're going to hand the mic?
Nyla Rhodes can cut it. Nyla Rhodes cuts good promos.
Yes, she does.
They just gave her.
I don't know why they gave her a manager. I don't know why, but she cuts
just gave her a manager with a 10-year-old gimmick or 15-year-old gimmick.
I don't think that's necessarily a problem, but it's like, I don't know why they gave her that, and then like seemingly once they did that, like she's been gone. Like, she's almost as ghost she was when she wasn't coming in for the Georgia shows during the pandemic, at the beginning of the pandemic. And like, at least I understand that. Like, she's not showing up. I get why I put her, but like, she's there now at these shows seemingly, and like, she's gets as much airtime as when she wasn't fucking there. That's weird. Like, and I understand, like, okay, if the idea was we're focusing on Britt and we're focusing on establishing Thunder Rosa, fine. But one of them better damn well be the next fucking title challenger, and neither one of them are. It's just, if it was Britt, fine. If it was Swole, well, they already did the Swole match a few weeks ago. If it was Thunder Rosa again, fine. Like, and even the, Sam, one thing I don't agree with you is, I thought that for a while, I thought that another Nyla Rose match was coming. But they did so little for that. Like, we'll see what they do next week, but like, we're at the point where like, it's a little too late. Like, to get intrigued to it, if you feel like it's another match, I can understand that. Or if people feel like another match, I can understand that, because it just kind of is another match. They just throw it on there 2 weeks out. But we'll see what they do, because like, they do have a history they can play on. Like, this is one of those things that I feel like it's kind of like in the Cody side, where it's like, they're relying on the fact that you remember what they've done together, as opposed to, go out there and show you something new right now.
And they had an awesome match last time.
Yeah. They had a really good match. Great match.
So
say again.
Last match on the preview. Aside from that, I said they had a really good match last time. So let's see if they can try to stay towards that standard. We've got Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara in the Elite Deletion match. So this screams cinematic wrestling.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Sam, take it away.
I'm actually kind of happy that they're doing it as a cinematic match as opposed to an in-ring match, because the last few times these guys have gotten in the ring together, they have hurt themselves a lot.
Hurt Matt Hardy.
Hurt Matt Hardy. Well, I didn't really particularly want this match. I kind of get why they're doing it. It'll probably be pretty good. It is a story that they could have dropped. They could have kind of left with their final payoff that they had, but I guess they just chose not to. And it'll still be good. And these guys do what we've seen. These guys do cinematic wrestling very well. So I'm expecting something really entertaining. Not that I'm super excited about it.
I think that whatever they end up doing will definitely be better than the House of Horrors match. So there's that to look forward to. It's going to be a Hardy Compound match. It's not Vanguard anymore. What's the name of the new drone now? I forgot what it's called.
Ooh, I forgot it.
That's a deep cut.
Okay, well, like the new Vanguard or whatever else, I'm sure that's likely to make an appearance. I wonder if the kids in Rebby will make an appearance. I wonder what happens with Rebby's dad. Like, I'm sure they're going to end up eventually getting to the warehouse with the kid, the warehouse with the ring. But yeah, I think I don't know what to expect, but I just know it'll be better than most WWE cinematic presentations. That's one thing I'm sure of.
It won't be making
Sammy Guevara gets a big win. The reason why this match is booked, he beats Matt Hardy at his house. That's what I got on this match.
He beats Matt Hardy at his house.
And then he fucks his wife. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow. Yikes. We have... Wow.
Pre-show match.
There's only one cuck angle happening on AEW right now, and that's with QT and the Bunny. So let's see. We don't want to become the main roster. You stop this.
So we got the pre-show match, the buy-in. John Silver gotten himself over to legendary levels on BTE, I would say, coming against Orange Cassidy, who's had two pretty high-profile matches recently with Cody and Jericho, taking that rub and passing it on to one of the fastest-growing cult acts in AEW, and Silverism makes it to the stage. So are you gentlemen all ready for this?
Big John Silver, born ready. As a fellow bald man with a beard, I have very much enjoyed seeing the rise of John Silver.
I'm with it. I'm sure we're going to get some short jokes here and there, but ultimately, Silver is very damn good, and Orange Cassidy with the younger guys seems to be really damn good. It's going to be some comedy wackiness or whatever else. I think it's something that's appropriate for the pre-show. I'm interested to see. I'm actually interested to see this pre-show match, which is like a rarity for me when it comes to anybody's pre-show. Like I tend to not give a damn. Just bring the match. Just bring the real stuff out. Or I'll just tune in when it's time to click for the real thing. So, I'll keep an eye out for this one.
Yeah, but that's going to wrap up our full year preview. Looks like a great show. I haven't been this excited about an AEW pay-per-view since Revolution. I was shaky going into the last two builds. I felt like, and they hit that home run with Double or Nothing. They did not with All Out. So I think these guys are going to be motivated to get back in the winning column with their pay-per-views, and they earned my trust a long time ago. So Yeah, I guess we can go to Dynamite. I know Sam. We're running into some time constraints possibly. So I don't know if you were available still for AEW or.
I may have to dip out. My little girl's probably going to be waking up very shortly, so I may have to dip out. But right. It's been absolute pleasure. Really enjoyed jumping on with you guys.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, come follow me on Twitter, Sir_Samuel, or read my columns, Wrestling Headlines. I've just started writing about AEW again after covering the G1. So yeah, love to chat.
Sir. I just want to say.
Yep.
And I just want to say about Sam, like when I was doing a lot of my writing in the columns for him, Sam was like a guy that I considered like a contemporary. Like, hey, I know I gotta like make sure I have a good column because I know the next day Sam's gonna post a good one. And it was just like I felt like it was like a unspoken kind of thing. And I always respected Sam's work and attention to detail. And I just wanted to let him know that I really appreciate you for pushing me to be a better writer, and as well as everything that you've contributed into, the wrestling community, essentially taking the flag for Lords of Pain now.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Chad Matthews, I would say.
I'm not a doctor, unfortunately,
What's
so
up,
I don't quite have that. Yeah, look, feelings mutual, man. We had a really good bunch of people. Shout-outs to Clive from the Ricky and Clive show. He was there. Type it in, man. Imp as well. We had a real great bunch of guys coming up, and it was like that. You were like, man, I got to get a new something cooking because I know Rich or Clive's going to be dropping something that's good. So, yeah. Feelings mutual, man. And yeah, you guys stay safe. We haven't talked about it much on air, but you guys are in a crazy time over in America, and it's anxious for me over here in Australia. So I can't imagine what it's like for you guys being like right at the center of the shitstorm. I think, as I said to you, Rich. So look, you guys stay safe. Really, really big love to you guys, and really appreciate you having me on. It's been fun.
No doubt, man. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
We can talk about Dean Ambrose next time. See ya.
All right, man. Later.
Cool, man.
See ya. Thanks.
Okay, so since he mentioned the voting thing, I guess now will be the time for me to drop my story about early voting.
Oh, yeah. Early voting.
Oh, man. Okay.
I voted by mail weeks ago, so mine should be in by now.
Yeah. At least we hope. I mean, you can track it.
Yeah, we hope.
We can track it.
We'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
Make sure.
Track it. Yeah, take your ass out there on Monday if you need to. So, for me...
Look, maybe I'll just vote twice, They don't
allow that. Don't act like they out here, like people actually do that. But... yeah, so I had the same situation set up you did. Like, actually, was it me that actually got you to sign up for mail-in voting too?
Yeah.
Yeah, that lets you know how like my thing got lost. So I had, person that's, as you all know, listen, like definitely afraid of being around people during this time. I don't want that sickness. You can keep that shit away from me. So I knew that I didn't want to be stuck in line at a polling place where,
don't go near the road dog.
Oh, yeah. So I knew I didn't want
that earlier. But.
Yes. So I definitely didn't want to, be involved in that situation where I'm stuck, in a room or stuck in a line with a bunch of people with masks on, or actually in Florida, some people may not have masks on. So I ended up getting a ballot sent for a mail-in ballot, or requesting a mail-in ballot, ended up getting it, ended up misplacing it for a few weeks, and I got to a point where I was like, oh shit, like, the mail's the situation with the mail's going on to where they're trying to, slow down the mail so that less mail-in ballots get in. So we reached a point to where, like, now this week is like, it is too late to send your mail-in ballot. If you have a mail-in ballot, nah, bro, do not put that shit into the hands of the United States Postal Service. Your vote will not count.
Shit will disappear.
Yeah. So I was looking at all right. So I know that I always knew that, like, worst comes to worst, like, I can get the ballot and hand it in. They void it, and then they'll hand me, I can vote there at whatever poll whatever poll I'm designated to be at. Or I could, send it, do the ballot and then put it into the drop box at the polling place. So I was listening to a few things, and they're talking about how, most elections in certain places, like, they count and tabulate, like, the mail-in ballots after the actual in-person votes. So, and then you hear these different states like Minnesota or Wisconsin or the Midwest states about how, like, they're planning on segregating all of these non-in-person votes, and they're going to tabulate them, and then depending on whatever happens in the courthouses with, was this post-dated, will post-dated things that don't get there in time count, will they count at all mail-in ballots? I was like, nope, not doing it. So I found my ballot. So instead of just dropping it off and avoiding the sickos, I was like, nope, I gotta go to a place and turn in this ballot and actually vote in person to make sure there's no fuckery going on, no shenanigans at play. So, for those, if y'all, that aren't from Florida, aren't from Central Florida, to give you an idea of what I was dealing with, like, I live in a town called Safety Harbor. We're in the county basically adjacent to the west of Tampa. So I live in a town called Safety Harbor, and next to me is a town called Clearwater, and which is to the west of Safety Harbor, and then to the north is a town called Palm Harbor, north of Clearwater. So Clearwater is the bigger town, and so I figured, all right, bigger town, they have a poll station, obviously more populated. So, and it's in downtown Clearwater. So I'm like, nah, I don't want to go there. I'll go to Palm Harbor to the north. And by, let's say Palm Harbor, and I think with Florida, for those that may or may not know, it's a kind of geographic thing to where, like, the further north you go from Miami, in theory, the more quote unquote southern it gets, if you catch my drift. Palm Harbor, if you go by the downtown area, you'll see, people out in downtown or in the areas or in the neighborhoods with, like, Confederate flags on their houses or whatever else. And, like, Palm Harbor's big enough to where, like, it's weird. Like, all of a sudden you go a couple places on, so you look around like, oh, hold on, where am I at? What happened? What's going on here? So I go to Palm Harbor to their polling place for early voting, and this is yesterday. And before I did that, I looked at their polling track times, right? I see Clearwater says under 15 minutes. To me, that doesn't sound right. I see Palm Harbor says over 30 minutes. To me, that doesn't sound right. I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to Palm Harbor still. Get there, make a turn off on Nebraska Avenue, and start driving down and getting, within a half mile of the polling place, and all I see is pickup truck, Trump with Trump stuff all over it, and that doesn't bother me. That's fine. See Blue Lives Matter signs as much as you can. I think out of, like, the 30 signs and flags I saw, I think I saw one Biden-Harris thing out of the 30, just overwhelmingly, for that side, right? And then I get past, that area and get to actually the polling place, and I look, and, like, the line looks like a 90-minute wait line. I'm like, God damn. And, like, that doesn't bother me. I backtrack a little bit. As I'm driving by the Trump stuff, I see them honking horns and waving at the people that are on the sidewalks with the Trump flags and everything, and they're waving when their MAGA hats on, waving at people as they drive by. And it's interesting to see, like, this person is waving and waving until they see my black ass inside my truck, and then they stop waving. And I was like, okay, all right, right.
So you're saying they got you scouted?
It seemed like there was something about me that he didn't like. I don't know what made. I don't know what made. I think that I'm a friendly person, but whatever.
Look, how did he know that you wasn't down with him?
That's a very good question. You know, there are a lot of black men that are out here voting for, especially in our entertainment industries that are voting for, Donald Trump. Dumbasses. Anyway, so fast forward back to, looking at that line is like 9 minutes long. I look and I see very, very few masks. I mean, like, there might be one mask for every 10 people I see in this line waiting. I'm like, at that point in time, I was like, do I have a black pen in my hand and I can just fill out this ballot in my car and then hand this shit in the drop box and walk away? Cause there's actually like, you can walk in from a different section. You have to walk by all those sickos to get to drop off your ballot. But I was like, nah, bro, they liable to fuck something up. There's liable to be a fucking problem if I do that here. No, not doing it. So
hand it over straight to the trash.
Exactly, straight to the shredder, bitch. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. It said under 15 minutes. We're finna see if Clearwater is actually under 15 minutes. So. I reverse pivoted out of there, and on the way out, when I go back past those same Trump supporters, I catch one of them throw up a Nazi salute, and I was like, "Oh Lord, these fucking guys, they're out of their minds." So, drive to Clearwater downtown park, and everybody I saw had masks on that was in line. It was like a 15-20 minute wait. No, probably like a 20-minute wait. I already knew everything that was on the ballot, what I was going to vote for. So once I, got my ballot, filled that bitch out quickly as I can because I already knew all the answers. Did all that stuff, scanned it in, and then got out of there. And I was done in like 30 minutes as opposed to like if I had stayed in Palm Harbor, that would have been a 90-minute wait. I'd have been in front of all those sickos and all them Trump supporters. Nothing good would have came of that. So yeah. So shout out to Clearwater. Y'all got y'all shit in order. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I just don't. But yeah, and that's my voting story. So I guess we can move on to Dynamite. Actually, before we do that, Wednesday. I think I'm only speak this year. I'm sure you didn't watch NXT. I talked about that with Ant about Rich don't watch NXT. Don't ask him no question about NXT. He hates NXT. So, he's like, they're counter programming. So I was saying, I think segment to segment, top to bottom, I think this was the best Wednesday night of wrestling we've had out of the Wednesday night wars, if whatever you want to call them, Wednesday night wrestling. I think this was the most consistent 4 hours of wrestling we've had. So we can go from here, and talk about Dynamite.
Interesting.
Because I think there's only like 3 segments that were not good out of 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say it that way.
Yeah, that's just like right. So we opened up. We had Hangman Page and the War Dog Wardlow.
Yes, sir.
And like we said, this was going to be a match where Hangman Page had to go through something to get somewhere. And boy, he's lucky he made it through because the fucking Wardlow don't miss.
He does not miss. He is still unblemished. I mentioned that Wardlow's unblemished in Social Suplex messenger thread, and they were like, "Well, I thought he lost to Cody in the cage match." I'm not talking about wins and losses. I'm talking about quality. I'm talking about quality television. That's what I'm talking about. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, you're right." So they went out there and they did their thing. A well done match. I thought that the stuff that Wardlow no-sold for Hangman only made it more sweet when Hangman actually won at the end. I thought it was a really good match. I think the move out the way of the Swanton of the Wardlow Swanton was also a great touch as well. Just this I don't know how old Wardlow is. How old is he?
31.
Okay, like 31. Not much mileage to our knowledge. So.
Yep. Low mileage, hell of an athlete, knows where he's supposed to be, and he doesn't look like anybody else. He's like a big guy, especially in this area. He stands out even more. He's got a quiet, Roman Reigns like quiet, charisma about him. And I think this guy's a babyface world champion one day. I
had actually thought about Roman in terms of Wardlow in this respect. I don't think we've seen a big guy that was this well protected. And I don't mean big guy like Braun Strowman. I mean like a dude that's like over 240 pounds big. I don't mean a dude that's a super heavyweight. But I don't think we've seen a dude that was, you know, like in that kind of build that was this well protected as far as like, we're going to do things with you that we know you can do. We're not going to do anything you can't do. We are going to sit here and we are going to figure out how to have compelling, interesting matches with you, whether it was with the Shield or with, you know, the tag matches they've done with Wardlow or the cage match or whatever else. But like, I don't think there's been somebody that is like a very good athlete that is young to the game. It has some things going for him. I don't think anyone's been like this well done since probably Roman that I can think of. Like, I feel like it's really done. I think they did a better job with Roman, obviously, but I'm still just like, I believe that this dude could be the Batista to MJF's Triple H if they book it a certain way. Like, it's setting up perfectly. They've already dropped the things where he's working for him for the work paycheck. Like, AEW's not cutting these checks. MJF is. Like, the cruelty of MJF can ultimately lead to eventually he giving that man that thumbs down and dropping him on his ass. It's all at play. And he keeps having these good matches. He keeps like popping you with these things that like you don't expect from a dude his size, even though, you know, that's more of a thing of you tell dudes that size not to do, not that they can't do it, just that they don't, because they're told not to. And, you know, whether it's the, you know, the third good ladder match of all time with him and Luchasaurus, like, he keeps having these good ass matches.
Lumberjack, yeah.
Yeah, Lumberjack match. I'm sorry. He just having these good ass matches, and he keeps doing these cool things, like even the whooping thing with Cody, where he had that one whip, that one lash to lead to the cage match. Like, they've done a really good job with this dude that like you can tell by like his matches that he's not all the way there as a complete worker, but the stuff they do with him is so damn good, and his execution has been flawless to where like it don't matter. And look,
it's like he can hang with anybody,
right? All they gotta do is give them time to figure it out, and they figure it out every single time with them so far. He has 100 batting average, in my opinion, in AEW. Now let's move on to praising.
And they beat him. They beat him clean,
yes.
And it doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
This is the value of like how AEW books. It was like he lost, but like we don't think any less of Wardlow because
he
it's
lost
like
to Hangman, the dude that put every motherfucker away for like or over half the year.
Right. And it's a stark difference than having 10 matches and 7 of them end in bullshit.
Oh,
like,
you're comparing him to Keith Lee. Yeah. So check this out. So now is the time that we just gush about Wardlow and the handling of Wardlow. Now is the time to give Hangman the props he deserves for this match, because, you know, we tend to, or at least I tend to, or I think people think that I don't like
that's you.
Hangman. I do not dislike Hangman. I just think that his character comes off wishy-washy. So, in the ring, and also I think sometimes like his matches don't peak at the way, or just flat out like given inexperience or experience or whatever else. Like, I don't think he's at the top of the card yet in the way that other people like, you know, the Jerichos, Moxleys, Codys, Omegas are. Like, the point is to get him there. So, for him to wrestle a dude that lacks that much experience, even if that dude tends to have good matches with everybody, is still an impressive feat. Like, he had to open that show, he had to give this dude a lot, and had to have his shit no-sold, and then he had to work from underneath to eventually get to a spot to put that dude away and have you, like, enjoy it. And I thought he did a very good job of that. This is one of his better matches in AEW, and that's not to say that he doesn't have good matches. He's had a bunch of good-ass matches, even without being handcuffed or babysatted by Omega. Like, his match with Kazarian was good. His matches with Pac have all been good. Like, this ain't, you know, it's not to say that, like, Hangman is not a good-ass wrestler in his own right, but he tends to peak when he's in certain advantage or more advantageous situations where it's not, like, incumbent on him to carry the thing as opposed to be a part of it, right? Like, he's very similar, or seemingly anyway, he's very similar to, like, Tony Romo in his prime. Like, he can do a lot do a lot, and he can almost carry all of it. But the problem is he gets into trouble when you ask him to carry all of it. So, at least so far, there's still room. He's still young or whatever else. But like, I thought this was a show improved match, and I believe he proved a whole hell of a lot. So shout out to both of them. This was a fun ass match.
This was like a perfect opener. Like, it was like, oh my God. Like, it was just like, you can see just the template, the structure of the match, what you were expecting out of it, the execution. It was like, it was not a 5-star match, right?
No,
that's not what we're saying at all.
What
but like, the thing is, it was a perfect match.
You know what it was?
What?
It was a 9 to 10 minute third match on the card stardom match. That's what it was. They beat the crap out of each other. It was fast. It was quick. There was nothing that was unnecessary. It was almost perfectly efficient professional wrestling, and they got in and got out and had a banger inside of 10 minutes. That tends to be a stardom match. So, shouts out to them. I really enjoyed the hell out of this match. Like, really did. Like, I wouldn't say this is one of my 10 favorite matches in AEW this year, but like, as far as an undercard match or whatever else, I feel like this is up there.
Yeah.
For a singles
so after
match.
that, they had a Moxley video promo. He said there's no room for an excuse making Eddie Kingston in AEW. He said AEW is for the best athletes who put in the work, and he's made the AEW belt the richest prize in sports, and Kingston needs to protect his neck.
Yeah.
So
another stand-up double.
So then after the Kingston family came out and they highlighted Bunny and QT and their fallout and everything, then Kingston cut a promo in the ring that basically called Moxley a coward for not being here tonight, and he reminded everybody that he never got eliminated from the Battle Royal, and then Sydal was the Joker in that match, and Sydal tried to steal a spotlight, so he gonna basically get even for that. So we got Eddie Kingston and Matt Sydal, and this was another good match.
Yep.
So like, Eddie Kingston surprised me because like when he first showed up, I was like, oh, okay, this guy's like a 2 wrestler, but like a 10 out of 10 promo. Fine. No, this guy's way better than a 2. Like, I massively insulted that man. So yeah, I really dug this. I thought Sydal looked decent. But Eddie Kingston's the star of the show here.
I thought that, I liked him enough in this match where I was like, maybe they should have picked somebody else to beat him, but whatever. Or to get beaten by. I thought that, the story of the match is pretty simple and straightforward. Like, he can't brawl with him. Like, he can stand in the paint with him for a little bit, but not for long, in the long run. So to, get around that, he has to, out wrestle him technically or, outspeed him. And eventually he couldn't last long enough, and Kingston ends up putting that choke on him that,
putting the choke that, Moxley beat him
the same
with.
bully choke. Yep. Hit him with the same bully choke that ended up, getting him put away by Moxley. And you start saying like, this is Moxley. Like, you start acting like as if this was Moxley, and, he's talking to him like he is Moxley. Like, he's that set on his goal of beating this man for the belt.
Yeah, man. So after that, we had a Bucks and FTR interview that was wildly confusing. We went over it earlier a little bit with Sam, so we can, basically dive a little bit deeper into it. FTR essentially got out of the interview by saying Excalibur was talking to the Bucks was a good way to show FTR had nothing interesting to say.
Yep.
Matt Jackson tried his best, but I don't think this was one of his banner nights. Nick was like hanging out, chilling, being Nick Jackson, coolest dude in the room. Aside from that, they dropped their stipulation on there, and we talked about it earlier, but we predicted that they would try to do an interview segment. They just should have picked Ross.
I don't know if it was the picking thing as much as
I don't know. Yeah.
I think it really came down to like they really did not know how to get themselves out of the jam they've gotten themselves into, and then they throw out this stip, and maybe this is all planned, but it feels like they threw out that step to try to save it, and For me, it does not save it. It just makes it like, okay, so like this is the thing that happens at Full Gear every year. Somebody's going to challenge for a belt, and then if they don't win it, they can never challenge for it again. Like, is that the new tradition? Like, is this their version of? I don't want to say it's Hell in a Cell because obviously that's not fair. But like, is this the yearly thing? Like every year we will build towards a feud that will lead to someone saying,
"Last chance match."
Yeah, pretty much a last gas chance match every single year. I'm joking. I don't really believe that, but whatever. Like, I just hope the match is good. I assume the match will be good because it's 4 good ass wrestlers, but FTR was kind of set up as, or given how they act or how they carry themselves, like, and the people that they admire, they tend to, you would think that like they would want to have feuds that like help them in the ring when they have their match eventually. And I feel like this build in the last couple weeks has done whatever they have planned or had planned for a match. Like, it's done them a disservice. Like Sam
it
said,
always feels like
the
I believe they brought something up in the interview that made me think that he was talking about the internet and all this stuff, like, and it was like further demonstrated to me FTR doesn't like understand like the wrestling business again. But it left a lot to be desired.
Yep.
So
what's next?
Inner Circle Town Hall. So
Bischoff.
So they did a lot of, this took a while to get going. At first it was just like, come on, man, what the fuck? Like, and of course Jericho trying to, do this political stuff. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to see it. Like, I'm tired of the illusions of this shit. However, these guys, did their thing. They had Dasha and Tony, and they had basically Luchasaurus asked some question about the earnings potential for MJF. Then Reba and Britt Baker did a question. Reba faked like she was the woman that was fawning over Trump a couple weeks ago. Interesting that Jericho would cast himself as
That's
Trump.
What that was?
Yes.
Well, first, I didn't know that there was some woman that recently fawned over Trump. I thought it was more like Jericho is a rock star and she is of a certain age where she would fall, I don't want to say fall prey, but would melt for a rock star, an 80s rock star. So therefore, like, it was, It was one of those, but I did not know.
A direct ripoff of something that happened at Trump's town hall.
I just thought that, is Rebby, right? Or is it Rebel?
So it's Rebel, but Britt calls her Reba.
Okay, Reba. Okay, I thought that Rebel wanted to fuck Jericho. That's really all I thought. But I didn't know there was more to it. But now that I know there's more to it, it's like, oh great, he's all in on this Trump thing. He really is.
Yeah. MJ, like, he showed an earnings chart. He did, a couple things, and then they finally eventually got down to it where they took a shot at Cody. They asked, Britt, that's the easy punching bag. So, Britt as Britt, yeah, Britt
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, all right.
Maybe punching the shit out of Cody too.
Shit, somebody throwing me up these lobs,
Well, he be doing it to himself.
So, when Britt asks, basically said, how could he trust MJF? Jericho says he's not a dipshit like Cody, and then that makes all the sense, to both of them. And if he tries to turn on him, he'll knock his teeth down his throat. He got serious, and MJF said they got into the business for money and championships, and together him and Inner Circle was going to make a lot of money and win a lot of gold. All of a sudden, Eric Bischoff walks out on TNT again, and I smile because Tony Schiavone and Eric Bischoff are in the same segment, and I'm just like, my WCW loving self just was like, oh, I love this. So, Eric Bischoff was quoting John F. Kennedy and shit, asking questions, and they talked about, Bischoff called Jericho a prima donna.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, I think the line was, Kennedy said, ask not what you can do for your country, ask what you can do for it. So what can you do for the Inner Circle, I think, or what can the Inner Circle do for you?
Yeah.
It was some shit like that. I think he actually asked both questions, actually. And then I thought, like, Bischoff, after, you get the goofy questions from Luchasaurus and the goofy question from Rebel and Britt, like, Bischoff more or less poetically cut the bullshit. Is like, what do y'all want from each other? Like, forget all this other stuff. Let's get to the point.
Right. So they initially, talked about they had similar traits and they'll get along without destroying each other. They both want each other to answer the questions. And, Jericho said that MJF hasn't beaten him. And then from that moment, you knew it was on. There was a match coming and it was happening soon. I didn't expect this. It was just like a kind of out of nowhere. He said he's going to give MJF a shot to beat him at Full Gear. If he wins, he's in. From there, Ortiz was like, hey, man, me and Sammy are out on you. Even if you win, you'll never be one of us. And then Santana somewhere in the middle. And then they announced next week Ortiz and Sammy against Wardlow and MJF. Another spot for Wardlow to throw Sammy Guevara around. Yeah. So I loved where it ended up. It's so interesting. It's so compelling. I'm interested to see, is the Inner Circle about to have a new leader? Right.
I also like the line, the Jericho stole the Batista line, but you haven't beaten me. Yeah. So, I feel like, eventually one of these two are going to turn babyface off of this. I don't know who, but it seems like it. Unless I'm mistaken, because, like, they're doing they're just showing that, there's more to them just being a dick, and if they could stop being a dick for long enough, you could actually really like these two. That's how I kind of feel as far as, what they've done over the last few weeks.
Mm-hmm. I think the smart thing would be turn Jericho babyface at this point. Everybody still loves Judas. Right. Kind of gives him, it basically recasts him, and he can eventually be somebody that Kenny beats at that point, getting that win back, and then eventually going through, because it is coming. But it casts him in a different light, gives MJF essentially the Inner Circle, and kind of replaces Jericho like it's The Wire or some shit. Mm-hmm. Like, it sets Jericho up to eventually, he's got that 3-year contract. Who knows how long Jericho's going to be around? So, if you're looking at it, based on the time, that'd be like half the time he would spend as a face, or as a heel, and then he does his face run where he fights all the the heels that you want to start building up. So. After that, Team Taz video played. They're still trying to recruit Will Hobbs, see whether he wants to join them. And Taz looking like he's very annoyed that he has not got an answer yet.
You tell me who would want to be with Ricky Starks in the Machine? I love that so much. Just all the tri-state, just all the
attitude. So after that, we got Cody and Orange Cassidy in the Lumberjack match. This was all over the place. It was okay. Some of the stuff they did, of course, wacky finish. Kind of just like, gets Orange Cassidy, pushes him to the side. Cody, the babyface Lumberjacks were all arguing with each other because one of them, some of them were down with Orange Cassidy, some of them were down with Cody. Heels were there to cause confusion, essentially, and feast.
Were there any heels that weren't Dark Order?
Yes.
Okay, I seem to not remember any of them. Yeah, I thought their wrestling and work in the ring was very good. I just did not like most of the interactions with the Lumberjacks once somebody got pulled out. They went outside the ring, maybe it felt like almost 5 times before anybody put hands on them for getting out the ring. And it's like, that's not the purpose of, or whatever. It's just like, why are y'all just letting this shit slide? Throw their ass back in the ring. I don't even say necessarily need to beat them up every time they come out, but after the 3rd time, it's like, what are these guys even here for? And then ultimately, when they come back from commercial break, the first time you see they come back, it's like somebody got stomped down and thrown back into the ring, and then is like led into, the brawl, the factions of babyface lumberjacks and heel lumberjacks brawling. Is like, oh, so they weren't here to actually, like, interact with the wrestlers in the ring, which is why they're here. It was actually just to, basically bring the barricades, the blows. And it's like, right. All right. And then you get the spot with the superplex, onto the crowd, which, we've seen that before. Actually, we saw that from the first good lumberjack match that ever existed between, Ambrose and Rollins. So it's like, okay. Yeah. But yeah, just, the Arn Anderson thing. Yeah. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know.
More goofy shit. So,
but like, it's the thing was like, if they had just had a match, it would have been better than this lumberjack thing. And I don't know how much to put on on Cody or Orange Cassidy for the fact that, like, this is kind of lame. Like, the wrestling was good though. The wrestling they did was good.
Yeah, man. Up next, we had Darby Allin was watching like Sting, so a dude on TNT with his face painted, sitting in the rafters, looking down on Chaos. Where have I seen this before? So after that, they had Kip and Miro backstage. They basically offered him presents and said they were sorry for overreacting. Penelope before was dressed as Orange Cassidy, and after that. Yeah, for Halloween, it was a ruse, and then Miro and Sabian attacked best friends, and Miro said he will never forgive the best friends. But this was just another in the line of these segments where I'm just like, all right, I hope they didn't pay big money to Miro.
It was there.
It existed.
Not bad, not good, just don't care.
Yeah. I wonder if that gets added on at the last minute, or if that's a match that's like.
Hey man, they gotta have some for these shows.
Yeah,
they gotta have some for
that on
in the future. Jeez.
Yeah. Do that the week after.
Right.
So after that, we had NWA Women's World Championship match: Serena Deeb against Layla Hirsch. Serena Deeb cut an inset promo, said the belt represents legacy, tradition, and respect. She's changed the game, and she's going to show you why you should respect her. And this was just like as wooden as a 2x4 carried by Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Please tell me that was the first. They want to take that. Please tell me that was not multiple tries.
You never know.
If that was multiple tries, yikes. Is one of those situations where you read it off and you're like, what she said wasn't bad. It was just fine. It was cool. But delivery was just.
Well, I'm not the one that said it. It was her.
Right. It was like right. Like it was like she was trying to find the lines, and like luckily, like it didn't get bad enough to where like cut, do it again. It just kept going. And, so I don't know. Whatever. Like. She is not there for the talky talk. She is there for the walky walk. And Serena Deeb in this match with Layla Hirsch, I feel like this is the best I've ever seen her, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, she felt like the clear star of this and somebody you should be building around in there, kind of in a way that she have felt like a clear star earlier this year. If it's me, I'm thinking about eventually getting Serena and Britt together eventually, or Shida and Serena together. Serena's going to be your glue, I think, to bounce the champion off of, because Serena can say Nyla wins, she can face Nyla. If Shida wins, she can get that shit, or be a challenger for Britt. She just feels like in a well-working women's division, she would just be your ultimate battle weapon that you can plug her in there on both sides of the coin.
Yeah, she'd be someone that you could see positioning as a gatekeeper. Yeah, What do you
think of this match?
I thought it was a good match. quite honestly, like, given where last time I saw Layla Hirsch at the end of her run at Stardom before, she had to wrap things up because of COVID and head back over here, I had looked at her cage matches, saw that she only wrestled like barely even a handful of matches since. So I was wondering if there was going to be a rust thing, and nah, she's about as good as she was when she at the end of her Stardom tour. The height was jarring after seeing her, watching her, after watching, especially after, because, I watched, her dark match with Sheeta right before Dynamite started. So, it was jarring to go from watching her wrestle in Stardom where, like, the average height is like 5'2", and she's like 4'9", 4'10", so it doesn't really matter till all of a sudden she's in the ring with Sheeta, who's like 5'5", 5'6". You're like, oh yeah, I forgot she's short. She's really short. She's strong as fuck.
Like Muggsy.
She's strong as fuck, right? But she's short. And then, like,
but hey, when you're that short, you gotta be strong.
I'd imagine so. Like, dude, like, so.
All you doing is getting tried, James. for your whole life, you getting tried.
So she's the 5'9" running back. She's the 5'9" running back.
One day, Layla Hirsch was like, "I'm sick of this shit. I'm going to the gym and I'm developing these tree trunks."
Yeah, she definitely has tree trunks. It was a really good match, or not really good. It was a good match. Like, because it's been so long, I can't remember the stuff. But like, I mean, there was her typical spots that I've seen in her match with, the moonsault. She actually modified the moonsault. She's not doing the triple jump moonsault. She's now doing regular moonsault. Serena got out of the way of that. There was also the
moonsault that she would not fuck up on national television. I think that was maybe what it was.
Yeah. And then she also gave her the big running knee she has. Like, she's a good wrestler. She's just, inexperienced, and she was in there with somebody that, has more experience than her. And I thought they had a good match. I don't know what this means for her in the future, but I would like to see her in AEW, or, be a person that gets, does AEW dates while also, working on her craft elsewhere. Once stuff opens back up, whenever that is. But, like, you give her, I want to say her last, year and a half, 2 years, like, she's been getting a good amount of dates, but, like, I just want to see where that is, like, 2 years from now, like, where she'll be, because, like, she could be a really good wrestler. So, I don't know, 4'9" might be a problem, 4'10" might be a problem, but we'll see.
When did she get to fight Riho? That's what I want to know. I want to see the Hawes match, between her and Riho.
I think I'm sure they've interacted in Stardom. I'm sure they've interacted.
So will Layla Hirsch have the big woman offense, or will Riho have the big woman offense because of the height?
Oh, it'll definitely, because remember, Riho's like 5 foot or 4'11", so she's taller, but she is so much, like, she's real thin. Like, she wrestles like Azumi, or she wrestles Starlight Kid. Like, she's real thin to them. Like, they're all the same height, but, like, she's real thin, so nah, there will be no big man Riho offense unless she is wrestling, I don't know. Like, Riho might be 80 pounds, for all we know.
I guess we'll have to wait till she fights Marco Stunt.
Oh, God.
So, they made Nyla and Sheeta official after. Sheeta said, "You want me? I want you at Full Gear." That's the build.
The whole build and nothing but the build.
Yep. Then Shawn Spears squashed VSK with one move, and there was a dude that was throwing candy at him, and there was a bull. Bull got in the ring, unmasked. It was Scorpio Sky. Scorpio Sky hit a TKO on him, and that turned out to be a setup for their match next week. This was I found this enjoyable because I don't know, man. I like Shawn Spears, like, being this heel that gets thwarted. They've built him up all year, and he has like a 14 or 15-2 record, right? You'd never know, right? But the thing is, like, this guy's like, this man thinks he's great, so he's been fucking with Scorpio Sky, and Scorpio just gets one up on him, and they're set to go next week. So What'd you think of this angle?
I'm fine with it. Like, I had more jokes than like real insight or thoughts on it, but like it was fine as a thing in itself. Yeah.
Jericho wrote this angle.
Maybe Jericho did write this angle. Yeah, it broke up, but yeah, you said Jericho wrote this angle. Maybe.
How many times have I seen Jericho in a mask? Or somebody in a mask around Jericho in the crowd or something like that.
But normally it's Jericho just getting the jump on somebody as opposed to like the added part where like someone, you know, this person had the stuff and then enticed this person and then, you know, got them at the end. Normally it's just, you know, another Pentagon that clearly is Chris Jericho. Like when did Chris Jericho get that tall? Or when did Pentagon get that tall in the last, you know, in 30 seconds since the last time I saw him?
Right. And then after that, we had, you know, announcements, Miro and Trent next week, Spears and Sky, and then they announced Cody and the Gun Club versus Colt Cabana, 10 and John Silver, and Jericho's on commentary for the go home. And then after that, we got our main event, Kenny Omega versus Pentagon Jr. And boy, I gotta say, James, I really love this. What a fucking shock.
I know, right?
A match comparables that are all-in match. And that the all-in had, you know, the benefit of one of the hottest crowds in the history of professional wrestling. This one had, you know, rather limited crowd, but perfectly executed main event. You know, I think Dave gave it 4.5. I'm like between 4.5 and 4.75. I said I would give him the cowards rating on this, but you know, you got from the beginning, Kenny comes out with the AAA belt underneath the shirt. I knew there was a belt under there the whole time. To rub it in Phoenix's face, who's injured, was supposed to fight him, and say, "Yeah, I beat you for this." And from there, the match just slowly built, and it felt kind of like a New Japan match a little bit. So it just slowly built until they were doing crazy shit at the end, and at the end, one wing angel.
I ended up giving it, at the time I was kind of where you were. And then I went through looking at stuff, and I was like, my previous ratings for like the G1 and like Mayu Takumi, and I was like, all right, it's 4.5. I think the thing ultimately that got me was not to say that this is a bad thing, but the second they ended out on the parallel ramp on the and I saw Pentagon go up to the rope and face, I was like, oh my god, he's going to do a fucking Panama Sunrise on this ramp.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they did. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, okay, so like, I didn't get shocked by the fact that they did it, but it was like, I can't believe these idiots are doing this. And also, another part that should be considered, in similar situation to the package pile driver on the ramp that Christopher Daniels ended up catching, that was a shoot pile driver. I think that was a shoot Canadian destroyer on that fucking thing. I feel like Kenny's head actually hit wood. So there's that as well. It was a great match. It really is. That's probably going to be my top 10 favorite AEW matches of the year. Like I'm pretty sure it's there. It was just excellent. And then I looked at it and I went and looked through Pentagon's cage match, and I was like, wow, that was like his second match, like in this or third match in this entire cycle. This week, reviews. Like, this dude had to go out here and unleash two of the best matches of the year in this promotion to get some fucking looks. Like, so hopefully there'll be more than 3 matches in the next cycle. He's not even on pay-per-view, but, you know, whatever, you know, baby steps, I guess.
Tough business.
Yeah, you know? real tough business. Jesus.
So, you know, I don't know what y'all want me to say. I mean, you know, this is what Kenny Omega does. This you know, this is light work. This is easy, you know. So, besides that was the show. Then, you know, we got Kenny and Heyman, Full Gear. We already did that preview earlier.
Yeah. Give me a second. I did not have notes for NXT, but I can pull some up if you just bear with me.
So NXT hosted by Shotzi Blackheart. Shotzi Blackheart's Halloween Havoc. I still feel they should have gone with that.
I mean, it kind of was like they did either 3 or 4 different things where she was almost like hosting, like it was an award show where she shows up in a different outfit. Like, and all of them were skin tight, or some of them were like pleathery. Mm-hmm. Real.
Look, they got the look.
It was real dungeon sex like. That's what these were appropriate for the dungeon sex. But yeah, so she welcomes us in, and you know, mwahahaha and all that stuff, and then we end up getting the North American title match between Damian Priest and Johnny Gargano. They basically wrestle inside the ring. Then I don't know what is with Damian Priest, but it seems like in every big match he has to pull out the bottom step, and he doesn't bump off the bottom steps. I hope that he stops. I hope that he stops. Like there's not gonna be a good what do they call it? Standard of living in the future. You keep doing that shit in the future, 20 years from now. But he ended up catching Johnny outside the ring. He ends up pulling up the top step, throwing to the side, and he's going to give him some move onto the bottom step, but Johnny turns into a sliced bread, and he takes a back bump on the bottom steps. So then Johnny takes him towards the announce table that we were talking about last week. That's dangerously and perilously close to the ring, and Johnny is trying to give him some type of lift onto the table, but Priest ends up reverse to get into like a modified standing broken arrow onto the table. Like he doesn't fall, he doesn't do the sit out, he just throws him on there. So they end up brawling behind the barricade, the ringside area, and end up towards the back. And the back is all gimmicked up with spooky stuff, spooky Halloween themed stuff. Like there's a stand that from where like the spinning wheel is, and where it's on a platform, similar to the old platform, but it's over this area, and there's a bunch of like gravestone looking stuff and like other stuff they put together. So they basically brawl up to the top, and then all of a sudden there's a dude with a ghost face scream mask on. Somebody, it's probably Indy Hartwell, but you can't tell who it is. They haven't announced who it is yet. And they interfere in the match when Johnny looks like he was about to be done with. So, Johnny then, after getting the advantage from this third person, does a tornado DDT where he jumps off of the spinning wheel onto the top of the platform and nails Priest. So, like I said, they're up on a platform. And on the other side of it, as you saw them brawling up, you saw like a fake, like, small house, like 8 feet tall, and you were like, oh, somebody's going off the top of that. Someone's going to fall onto that, and that's a crash pad or whatever effectively a crash pad. So, all of a sudden, the third person in the ghost face mask goes away, comes back with a tombstone. You know what it made me think of? Remember that Vampiro and Sting match where one of them finished the match by hitting the other one with a tombstone and broke and crumpled in pieces? That's around. I
don't remember this, but I've heard about it.
Okay, so Johnny grabs a tombstone, boshes it over Priest's head. Priest goes flying into that makeshift thing we were talking about, the makeshift building that's 8 feet tall. And keep in mind, commentary kept putting over this platform is 15, 20 feet tall. I'm like, bruh, it's barely 10. Stop this. Stop. So, Johnny basically goes down around and comes around to the side after they replayed the fall a couple times and crawls over and pins Priest, and he is a 2-time North American champion.
Johnny winning.
I believe that this Liverpool means they don't think, I think they're going to have to strip Finn Balor. And they're going to make Priest the champion.
Interesting.
Maybe I'm overthinking it because, I do that a lot, but there was no real reason to.
As a call-up.
Could be. But it's like, how many motherfuckers, how bad is our communication where, like, I know it's bad already, but, like, how bad it, like, for the, the priest, or not named priest, but the Keith Lee thing just happened where you belted him, and then you had to take the belt off him within a month so you can call him up. And then, right, and then you made the Broserweights thing, and then, like, you had to pull Riddle so that you could do nothing with him. And then, like, now you're gonna pull Damian Priest so you could do, presumably, nothing with him as well. Like, Jesus. Like, he's blowing through these people in record time now. But yeah, after that, we end up getting McAfee Goon coming down.
McAfee Goon?
Yeah, McAfee Goon.
Maybe McAfee would be the new champion.
Do you want me to shut this shit down? Is that what you're doing? Is that what you're doing? Oh my god!
Hey,
so
you already one of the best promos in the company.
Yeah, good thing this isn't the the working promotion or brand. So the work rate brand. So yeah, he comes out with with Lorcan, who is dressed in a suit, which is like, you turn heel, you get paid, of course you come out of suit. And then this is very true to self, in my opinion, really fitting of a character. Birch came out, and the way he dressed up was he had I believe a black turtleneck and a black zip up jacket. This man looked like Jason Statham. Like, he really did. So this guy, McAfee, cuts a great promo. I can't remember most of it, but it basically is like, it plays off the stuff that I thought it was going to play off of. Like, remember last week I was like, he's the one that paid for that Mercedes and able to get Rich Holland to lay out Adam Cole. He says, I had what people said the greatest. And you know how hard it is for the internet, these internet idiots, these buffoons. He's like, they all said it was the greatest debut in the history of wrestling. I fucking howled. I was like, what? No one said this. They just said you had a good ass match. I'm like, this dude, the level, this man starting out with the peak line.
Yes. So, where else is there to go?
So,
Elite Cap.
Yeah. He says, you know how hard it is for these internet idiots to agree on anything? The IWC said that this is the greatest ever. And he says, and you know what happens after that match? Like, Adam Cole, he doesn't come to me and say, good match, guy, you're gonna be the future of this business. He flexed on me and hit his stupid pose. So he said, so I go home and I'm gonna heal up and I'm gonna just plot. And it made me think of like, who could I call to get to this asshole? So he says, he looks around, he calls Rich Holland, and he says, what do you want for you to put a hit on this dude? And he's like, I don't want money, I want a car. I was like, fine, I'll get you that car. And he's like, and that Mercedes was delivered. And you saw the stupid, all you stupid faces. I said, who did this, Adam Cole? Who did this? It was me. So then he says,
who done it?
So I got everything set. And then, and I'm playing C's, he's like, I'm steps ahead. I'm playing chess. You guys are playing checkers. So then
ahead,
right,
McAfee.
Right. So then he ends up saying like, and then I end up getting a monkey wrench thrown at me. A week later, a couple days later, after my plan is unfolding, my guy breaks his leg into 7 million pieces or 7,000 pieces. He said a number like 7 and he's 1,000 a million, and it sounded hilarious. Like his leg shot into the hyperbole. It shot into 1,000 pieces, like it's a jigsaw puzzle. So he said, and then I said to myself, you know what? You know what I'm gonna do? I had a guy. I'm gonna go get the guys that broke that guy's leg. That's what.
That's hilarious.
This sounds so 80s. So I reached out to Lorcan and Birch, and I said, what do y'all want? Money? He's like, we don't want anything. We don't want anything from us. So they had their number one contendership match, and they lost again. And then they reached back out to me and said, you know what? We want those belts. So then I started planning, he more or less starts, talk about how smart he is, smart and Duke all
mastermind.
Right. So he talks about how it all set up. He got all these dudes hurt. He got them dudes laying them other guys out. They surrendered the title shot to him. He helped them win the belts and got them the belts, got them the thing that they wanted. So now they're in on McAfee Goon. So then he was about to say something else. He ended up getting cut off by O'Reilly coming out. And he walks to the ring like he's going to he's going to take those 3-on-1. All of a sudden, Pete Dunne's music hits. Pete Dunne walks down to the ring with 2 chairs. Keep in mind, we have not seen him on NXT since the pandemic because of, the Broserweight thing got cut off and he got called up. So he comes down to the ring and stares a hole through McAfee the whole entire time. Staring straight at him, walking down the ramp, up the stairs. He never breaks glance from the guys inside the ring. So he gets up on the apron on the side next to O'Reilly, and while still never breaking glance, hands one of the chairs or sticks one of the chairs over to O'Reilly, like, here, take this. Even it's 2-on-3, but we got chairs. They get in the ring. And I'm thinking, like, somebody's turning heel here. Let's see who turns heel. The second O'Reilly took a step forward, I was like, no, they're turning Pete Dunne heel.
Immediately.
He busted up that man's back. He busted that man's back. They stomped the dog shit out of O'Reilly and beat him with chairs. And now you have this faction. And it raised a great point with this. McAfee Goon consists of Dunn, Rich Holland, and Lorcan and Birch. This man basically is out here with an NXT UK gang.
Yes. The man rolling out here with the British.
Yeah. So, and for me,
and Oni.
So for me, the one thing that I like about this is that character wise, it makes all the sense in the world. Pete Dunne has always been he's a babyface and fights like a hero, but he's never been above, stretching the rule here and there, much like Moxley, where it's like, he'll respect people that'll cut corners, but he welcomes all that bullshit because he's with the smoke too. But particularly when he came out, I was very similar to when the NWO came out to save Sting during WrestleMania 31. I was like, this makes no sense. Y'all hate each other. All we know is y'all hate each other. In NXT, he was fighting against Undisputed Era in I think it was New Orleans. Yeah. Until Roddy turned on him and joined Undisputed. He should hate these fuckers. And sure enough, he still does hate those fuckers. So I'm with it. I'm like, good.
So
as long as it's consistent, I'm with it. So
they've got their new heel gang to replace Undisputed Era. They've always got a faction, or they got 2 factions, heel factions now, right? They got
Legado del Fantasma.
Yeah. So Los Ingobernables de McAfee.
Oh my God.
Or McAfee Club, whatever they calling themselves.
Oh my God.
So like, Pete Dunne could have been a hot babyface. Nah, fuck that. We need some. We need more heels for you.
No.
Uncle Paul got it covered.
Here's the real thing, right? They broke up Broserweights one dude's been exposed as a rapist, and the other one's the one that turns heel.
Incredible.
Yeah. So for me, what else was I going to say? Another thing to notice, right? Lorcan and Birch and Pete Dunne are there to do all the work and to carry McAfee by the neck on how to get this shit done in the ring until he's ready. And I gotta say, after watching, Donna Del Mondo this year with Julia, I can tell you, there's a great path to success with this. I just saw Julia have a 4-star match today. So
you got your tag team unit, you got your main eventer and Pete Dunne. Look, they could easily, I know you said Damian Priest, right? But they could easily just get that shit to Pete Dunne.
I'd be happy with that. Another thing that was also kind of like, damn, they turned Pete Dunne heel was like, I've been angling to get this Pete Dunne Johnny Gargano match off the ground for like years. I don't know why they haven't I don't know why they haven't returned my texts and my tweets and my replies and in my touts. But I would like to get that match on a takeover, please, at some point. And y'all keep missing the time. Y'all keep missing the window. And now they're both heels. Damn, I ain't gonna never get this match. All right.
Well, if you want to see them fight, they did fight on the pre-show of...
I'm not... No. I'm not... that show didn't make...
what show it was.
That... I know what you're talking about. That was the first War Games.
Yeah.
That's first War Games.
It was in Houston, whatever it was.
I don't think that made tape.
No, it did. I watched it.
Oh, okay. All right. It's still not the same thing. It's one of them pre-show deals. So... Then we end up getting Cameron Grimes backstage, and he's scared.
Hey man, not on the moon.
Yeah, he's scared. He keeps saying, "Mr. Regal, are you sure you really want me to be in this match? I mean, like, this is a wrestling promotion, or I think it's a wrestling brand. Like, I can just go in the ring and wrestle. I can do that for you real good, Mr. He didn't do all that, but he's like, I want to do anything but get transported to this stupid fucking match. Look, he knew it was also he knew that was also bullshit. So Regal just like, after, they have a very similar relationship to like J.J. Dillon and Young Jericho and WCW, where like this dude is always annoying the shit out of this man. So it's like, nah, bruh, take your ass on, get transported, and take your whooping. I fucking hate you. So like, I don't know why you asking me to help you. You've been nothing but a problem for me. I want this problem to be solved. Go out there and get solved, problem. So, I'm just gonna do this all in one walk because I'm not gonna go back and forth on because it was cut up in segments. It was that, and then it was a segment where he finally gets into the van, and then there's a segment where he finally gets out of the van, and then there's a segment where he runs from the house back to fucking Full Sail, and then he ends up finishing the match there. So I'm just gonna go through that all right now. Okay. He gets shoved out the door by Regal. The van pulls up. It is a windowless van. There's some random dude. It looks like, I don't know. It looks like a dude that works at an office that decided to take the weekend off to go on a bender. Sitting and he's dusty for some reason, like he may be a ghoul. I don't know. He's sitting shotgun. The windowless van side door opens up, and out comes Michael Hayes. He's dressed in
Michael Hayes gag.
He's dressed in creamsicle orange, and it's shiny for no reason. He starts singing the words to Bad Street. He cuts his promo. I can't hear over the song of Bad Street. And then he walks off into nowhere. We never see him again. He just walks away after he talks to Grimes for a little bit. And then Grimes gets in the van, and then they cut away. And then when they come back, they cut to him getting out of this van into this house that's on the water. And as he walks up, he's scared, but he's trying to be tough. He's like, come on out, come on out, Loomis. I got something for you," while he's scared. And as he's walking into the house and he walks by a tree, you see at the top of the tree, Loomis is crouched on the tree, stalking his prey. So,
what the fuck?
Grimes walks in, into the house. He's looking around for him. And then as he's looking around for him, he keeps getting distracted by weird things and lights or whatever else. He walks by a door. The door opens behind him. He doesn't see the door that has a light in it inside that room. He doesn't see the light behind him. He opens the door. It's Loomis. Loomis tries to choke him. They wrestle around and tussle around. He tries to strike him, and Loomis is no-selling. And then eventually gets to a point where it's like, I gotta get the fuck away from this guy. Actually, before this happened, he went into a room, and then Loomis walked to a dark room behind him and started fighting. Keep in mind, like, it's dark, it's poorly lit, you can't see shit, right? Or you can see shit barely, right? This is a match that most people will say they can't see shit. So, Loomis overpowers him, and he's like, I gotta get away from this fucking guy. So he gets some separation. He gets out of the room and closes the door. So he's trying to keep Loomis trapped in the door, or trapped in the room by basically using his weight to keep the door closed, right? Which is like, all right, you gonna do that for the rest of your life? What the fuck? So, all of a sudden, he feels that there's no longer a struggle for the door. Next thing you know, you see someone kick the door. And now all of a sudden there's another kick and the door like gets kicked in. Or kicked out, actually. So he sees the door getting kicked out. He runs into another room to hide. In terms of being a bathroom. So then he realizes there's someone in the shower. So then all of a sudden you see the silhouette of a woman in the shower. And he goes, after being scared and is hiding behind the door like he's a kid trying to get his ass whooped, or avoiding getting his ass whooped. That brings back memories. He goes from I'm scared mode to now I'm horny mode, and this man goes, "Oh, are you Loomis' sister?" And he starts making some innuendo while this woman's not making any noise while she's in the shower, and he takes off his vest. He might, he's still in, jeans, the top hat, and and just a vest with nothing underneath it. And he takes off his clothes. He takes off the vest, and he's like, I might need a shower. It's time, sometimes I feel a little grimy, or he says it's time to get grimy. Some line like that. Like he may allude to grimy and sex, Rich. That's what he did. He absolutely did this. So he goes to get into the shower, and it's a fucking zombie that was taking a shower bathing, Rich.
What the fuck?
She grabs him or jumps on top of him, and he runs out of the bathroom. And once he gets her off of him, there's more zombies. He ends up running out of the house, and he runs back towards the van. And when he runs back towards the van, guess who's the driver, Rich?
Who could the driver be?
Dexter Loomis.
Oh, Dexter.
Because Dexter Loomis hasn't been seen in 30 seconds. So he gets out the van. He takes off.
Where to, Cameron Grimes?
God damn it! So he takes off running. We don't know where he's at. They say to be continued. They show a cutaway of him during a transition between segments of him running up in the middle of the road somewhere. And then by the time they cut back to the finale, they are to expect us to believe that he ran from wherever the van took him all the way back to fucking the PC. He gets into the PC. Like I said, there's a bunch of spooky Halloween stuff all around the ring, including a pretend graveyard. As he runs to the building, he runs out of gas and falls on the grass of this graveyard. He falls down. He's breathing for catching his breath, and then he looks around and realizes these are tombstones he's amongst. He gets up and he goes to the ring, spooked. And by the time he gets to the ring, guess who is entered from the other side of the ring amongst crack smoke, Rich? That's right, Dexter Loomis. there's some other stuff that happens. There's more. The zombies have showed up. I'm gonna say Graves. Grimes gives one of the zombies a curb stomp, but ultimately Loomis ends up slapping on his front face choke, and I don't know if there was a submission or whatever else, but basically like Loomis walks out the ring, and then over the front of his face as he walks out the ring, goes up halfway up the ramp, it stops, and then it is in blood letters, it says "The End." That was the House of Horrors match.
That sounded so pointless.
Correct. I felt bad for Grimes. I felt bad for Loomis. I felt bad for the production team. I felt bad for NXT. I felt bad for me. Like, I shit you not. These segments were the only bad segments on Wednesday on either show. So,
wow.
Yeah. I don't even know where I am on that. But yeah, this is a worst match of the year contender, in my opinion.
Right.
There are people that actually do like this match. Like, I believe it has like a 6 something on Cage Match, which I don't want to meet those people that voted for that, but like, people do it.
You can find anybody that likes, you can find somebody that likes anything in wrestling.
Right. But my point is most people like it, which is like, okay, fine.
I saw like a still picture of like him running into like the Yeti, and that
wasn't Grimes.
Acting like
that wasn't Grimes. That was
okay.
That was a backstage thing with Drake Maverick. That wasn't Grimes.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, that segment actually, or that thing with Grimes in the Yeti and the Giant was actually funny. But it was intentional, but it worked. So basically, I don't know what order this is. I'm jumping kind of around the place now that I've jumped through all of the segments and put that shit together so I can have to talk about it again. But there was a segment backstage where they were interviewing Drake Maverick, who was dressed as Hollywood Hogan. He kept doing the brother. You know, I'm sure Sean told him how to do all the brother stuff. So
that's funny.
The interviewer, I can't remember her name, just like she's been around for a month. I still don't know her name. She was like, he was calling her Mean Gene, and she was like, but I'm my name. I can't remember my name. And she's like, can you just come on? Can you just like play along? It's Halloween. Come on. She goes, fine. So he goes, does all the shit, and all of a sudden, like some gigantic, you know, I don't know how gigantic is, you know, Drake Maverick is small, but this person's probably like 6'6", walks up, and he's dressed as the Giant. And he goes, you, right? He does the you thing, and all of a sudden behind him comes the Yeti, and then they do the Judgment Doom shit, the hug, and then all of a sudden, behind a curtain, you see Killian Dane in a vest with no shirt on, and a bedazzled stormtrooper's helmet, dressed as oh my god, who was your boy's name that tripped when he had the man and the helmet fell off? WCW, Sting, British Bulldog, and Harlem Heat, Rich.
Sting, British Bulldog, Harlem Heat, the Shockmaster.
Yeah, the Shockmaster. He's supposed to be the Shockmaster, and he's like, you didn't fall, you didn't trip. He's like, no, I'm not doing that, that's stupid, I'm not falling. So then he ends up taking the mask off of Killian Dane and putting it on his head, and then he walks away, and he trips and falls, and he's like, huh. You're right. That tripping is funny, and that was the end of that segment. But from there, just move around a little bit. You end up getting a promo for not even gonna get to the promos. You end up getting an NXT. It wasn't it's a non-title match. It was Santos Escobar versus Jake Atlas. I think Jake Atlas got a jobber entrance, so.
Right.
Yeah, right. He could be in AEW. So he's out there. Out comes Legado del Fantasma, and all of a sudden you look close. You're like, yo, Santos has on the '97 Rey Mysterio pants from Halloween Havoc. So I was like, that's hard. That's cool. Like, I wish you weren't a heel, but like, that's cool. So the match goes like 3, 4, 5 minutes, but like, basically, trying to remember what happened at the end. Okay, so Atlas hits his cartwheel DDT. Wild and Mendoza, one gets Santos' foot on the rope, the other alerts the ref. The ref then, does a count and then realizes that they did that. She sticks her head through the top and middle rope to yell at them. And it's enough of a distraction to let Atlas get up, hit the other side, hit the other rope, come back and hit a flip dive onto both of them. So, by the time he, gets back to his feet, Santos reaches out, to grab him by the hair from, through the ropes. Atlas washes his hand away and hits him with a big forearm. And in that amount of time, Mendoza, or the ref, is not distracted by the fact that Santos is this huge bump back into the ring, spilling back into the ring. Mendoza throws on the loaded mask, the same mask that ended up screwing, or similar to the same fashion that screwed Swerve, headbutts your boy, Atlas, rolls him back into the ring. Santos ends up hitting at the angel wings, but turns the angel wings to like a face breaker where like he lands on like one of his knees and then pins him. And that was the match. Like, I feel like they're giving Santos short thrift, even though like the people he's in the ring with, like, and basically like, yeah, here's 5 minutes, but like the last half of the match is good compared to like the last 2 weeks. Like, they're giving not much time, and then like they're fitting in a bunch of crazy stuff in like the last few minutes of it, as opposed to like giving him a real match or not doing it. I don't know if this really is effective in getting either one of them over, right? But it was a, cool spots at the end with the flip dive by Atlas. So then we end up getting, so after this, we end up getting Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Gonzalez. Whoo, boy. Now, as much as I gushed about Wardlow versus
the women's,
yes, as much as I gushed about Wardlow and Adam Page, that's how much I wanted to gush about Raquel Gonzalez and Rhea Ripley. These two women brawled their asses off. It was just very, very fun. It wasn't a long match, but it was high intensity, big strikes, lots of demonstrations of strength, because he's a strong women's. Ultimately, I think the story of the match is that Rhea is super strong. She met her match, or maybe her superior in strength, from Raquel, but Raquel is only just strong. So Rhea was very similar to like, Thanos versus the Hulk at the beginning of Infinity War, where it's like, yeah, you got raw strength, but what happens when I start bobbing and weaving and throwing these hooks and start counterpunching? So she basically had her up. I don't know if you know what Raquel's finish is. It's basically like gets her up with like on one arm, and then gives her one-handed choke bomb, or choke slam, or not choke slam, but power bomb. After they brawled all around the ring, she's about to finish Rhea with her finish. She ends up turning into a Hurricane Rana and sends her into the corner. And then after that, she ends up hitting the ripcord. There was also a spot where they teased where she was going to hit the second row ripcord, like similar fashion that ended Shayna Baszler back around Christmas time. And she ended up getting out of that. It was a really, really good ass match. I ended up giving it, I think I gave it 3 3/4. Like, I feel like, I feel like they're very comparable, the matches between, as far as how good they are, between Raquel and Raquel and Rhea and Hangman and Wardlow. I thought these were two matches with like short matches that you just like, you're going to remember as being like, these were a blast to watch. Mm-hmm. So
did they both wear a lot of leather?
Oh yeah, come on now. Come on now. Who are you talking to? But one thing I will say is like, I was so happy for Raquel, because you know, we've watched her since the first Mae Young Classic, and like, we feel like there's something there, but it's like, is she ever gonna get enough match for this shit to happen? And then like, she's kind of gotten this pushes this, you know, big mommy cool for Dakota. It was like, you know, what we've always thought the whole time was like, look at who's getting the pins, look who's getting pinned. Like, the person that really want to push is Raquel out of these two. And like, she finally had a match to like validate like that level of push that she's gotten over in protection over the last, you know, or since the beginning of this year. So like, it was cool to see that pay off in a way. Like, and you know, for Rhea, of a person's been like completely fucked by the system, right? Like, to see her like, yeah, I'll go out here with my friend and we'll go out here and we'll be big, strong women that scowl and all that kind of stuff and beat the shit out of each other for like 9 minutes. Like, it was fun. Raquel still needs more though. So Ciampa ends up cutting a promo. Bear with me, Rich. Bear with me. He starts out and he says, I've been here. He basically says along the lines of like, I've been here for a while. Again. I don't think he's done a been here for a while thing before, but anyway, he says, I've been here and I've seen this place change. And I feel like most thing that's changed is like, we have these young people that come in here and feel entitled. They believe that they deserve it. And talk about opportunity and what they deserve. And you talk about like, you know, things are earned here. When I came out here, like when I was NXT champion for all those days, is because I took it, right?
What?
So bear with me, Rich.
Stop the cap.
Just bear with me, Rich. So then he says all that to transition to say, he said everybody wants to blame someone else, like talk about, you know, glass ceilings and brass rings and such. He says he's never been handed anything, like I said. And then he says, he wants to take back NXT to what it used to be. And that starts with Velveteen Dream. So he says, he ends up calling Velveteen Dream.
James, for the record, I too would like NXT the way it used to be.
Oh yeah,
1 hour on the WWE Network.
I would like for it to stop trying to counter program AEW. So he ends up saying, that brings me to Velveteen Dream. He says Velveteen Dream is a prodigy that
what?
He's 25, whatever. He's like, he's a prodigy who is dripping with it factor, who cannot get out of his own way. And I was
this is true.
So I was just like, this all makes sense and sets up for your next opponent. The problem is, the thing that is, he's in his own way is that he's a child diddler. Like, it's the same thing with the Riddle stuff. Like, you can't, like, nah, bro. Like, you can't be doing these storylines and you're like, what are they talking about? Oh, the child, the sexual misconduct? Oh, great. So, that was his promo. It was well delivered.
Car crash. The other dark rumors about Velveteen that are out there.
Wow. So, earlier in the show, we ended up getting a promo from Ember Moon. Talked about how, you know, now that she's back, she's seeing kind of where like the landscape has changed. She talked about Dakota Kai after Dakota attacked her last week and said, like, when I left NXT, she was this small, tiny girl that was scared of her own shadow. They showed videos of her getting her ass whooped by Shayna Baszler. I fucking howled. And she said, you know, but, you know, things have changed. She stepped into...
Never letting that go.
Yeah. She said things have changed. She stepped to the plate, and now I want to see where she's at now. And she says her receipt's definitely coming. So, that was earlier in the show. So, right before the main event, they announced that they're doing Dakota Kai and Ember next week. But that should be a good ass match. And what other matches? There's another match that's going to be announced for next week. Ciampa versus Dream versus Velveteen. So then the main event, Io comes out with the rock band Poppy. Is very similar to her that rock interest she had on the first NXT on USA Network.
I feel like I done seen Poppy for Io Shirai as many times as I've seen Motorhead for Triple H.
You
God damn. There you go.
I think it's been twice. It's been like a million times. Anyway, so, has it been 2 or 3 times? I think it's 2, but anyway,
Bro, it's been at least 3. Like,
I remember 2.
So,
I don't know where the third one came from. I think the thing is this, right? Poppy performed. Here's the thing. Poppy performed at a takeover for Women's War Games, and she also I think that show was also had her match be sponsored. But I think there's only been 2 performances. But as far as but look, Poppy is definitely she's definitely she is the new Flow Rider for WWE except for NXT. It's in cahoots, definitely.
NXT records.
Yeah, get Poppy in the WWE Hall of Fame. So they get in the ring together. Shotzi, she spins the wheel. It's a TL Scream match, which is obviously just tables, ladders, and chairs. And these two proceeded to beat the shit out of each other with some incredible stuff. And some callbacks as well. There's just so much stuff, but there is a spot with, there's a spot off the top, I think off the top turnbuckle, we're spinning, the Candice, spinning neck breaker spot through tables that are on the floor off the top rope. I think that's the second to last big spot. There is a callback to when Io turned on Candice by giving her a suplex onto a open steel chair. Candice brings it out, and then Io reverses and actually gives her the move again. There's Io running in for the running Meteora in the corner, to a seated Candice, and Candice tells her to come in, and she moves out the way, and she there's a ladder behind her, so she runs her knees into the ladder. Chair shots, kendo sticks, I believe. Ultimately, the final spot is the two earlier in the match. Candice sets up a ladder bridge between the ring and the very close table that we've talked about the last couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
There are 2 ladders in the ring side by side. Io and Candice are up on both of them. All of a sudden, the Ghostface Scream person that helped Johnny earlier in the show comes out to help, another Gargano. They're trying to steal the title. Shotzi comes in, fights the Ghostface person, and gets him down. After whoever that is trying to help Candice climb the ropes, thwarts them, gives Io enough time to recover, climb, and so Candice and Io are back up on each chairs or each ladder. Candice throws Io down. Io lands her feet, gets to her ladder, and shoves her off of the ladder over the top rope and she ends up falling through the ladder bridge and collapsing the ladder bridge, climbs up, grabs briefcase. 4 1/4. Good ass match. I wish I remember more of the stuff that happened in it, quite honestly, but it was a good ass match. It's probably the best Io match this year. Really enjoyed it. Candice and Io, they're an all-time WWE rivalry now. They have 4 bangers. they have 4 bangers. Between the 3 matches they've had individually and then War Games, they have 4 bangers.
Forgot about War Games.
So yeah, I'm assuming it's Indy Hartwell. Imp pointed out a good point about how when in the Gargano match, when the person was interfering with Damian Priest, how Priest never laid a hand on that person, which could be, that's a woman, so obviously no man or woman violence in WWE, unless Triple H and Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania 34. And then you have Shotzi able to hit this person. We never saw Indy the whole show. They showed in the video package that Indy has been helping her, helping Candice. And, a couple weeks ago, we also had, Shotzi and EO have a show of mutual respect and liking for each other. So, I think it's going to lead to, it was Indy Hartwell all along tag match. So, until they figure out whatever they're going to do in the future, I'm assuming eventually they're going to have to get to EO versus Rhea Ripley. So, can't wait for that match. But this is a good-ass show, as I said, and I really love Wednesday.
Yeah, man. What a show. I mean, that we just did.
Yeah. Yeah.
My fucking God. Hope y'all enjoyed this. And it came out early for y'all. Boy. Don't say we ain't love y'all.
Yeah. That's the end of the show. Be sure to rate us on whatever app you're using to listen to this. Tell the folks about the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Go to ProWrestlingTees.com/Social Suplex and pick up some official Social Suplex Podcast Network merchandise. Be sure to listen to other shows on the network. Besides One Nation Radio on Sundays. On Tuesdays, we have Keepin It Strong Style. On Wednesdays, we have the Ricky Clive Wrestling Podcast. On every other Wednesday, we have Grown and Watch This Shit. On Thursdays, we have the Grave Consequences Podcast. On Fridays, we have 8-Bit Suplex. And on Saturdays, we have All Things Elite. Thanks for listening, y'all.
Peace.
Later.